Toronto is in the dish with one spoon territory. The dish with one spoon is a treaty between the Anishinaabe, Mississaugas, and Haudenosaunee that bound them to share the territory and protect the land. Subsequent indigenous nations and peoples, Europeans, and all newcomers have been invited into this treaty in the spirit of peace, friendship, and respect. And I would encourage you to just learn more about the land where you inhabit, where you live. And I'm sure there's a lot of people from different parts of the country and parts of the world, where it's always good to know a little bit of the history and the background of your land, of the land where you live. And then if you look at the screen right now, you can also take a look at the website that we have there to learn more about our own land acknowledgement here at TMU. Thank you for that. All right, so some housekeeping items. If you can, just please keep your microphones in mute for the time of the presentation. There'll be some times for questions. Some of the presenters will ask you to feel free to unmute and answer, or at the very end we'll also have a Q&A session. If you want to keep your cameras off, that's okay. They're optional. We recommend them on just because it's nice to be able to see the screen and see who we're talking to rather than a whole bunch of black squares with a couple letters. So feel free to keep them on and smile here and there, and then that way we know we're talking to people, which is fantastic. If you have any questions, feel free to use the chat function at the bottom of your screen, and then we'll have Joe Nicole Abdul, one of the program administrators, and myself will be monitoring questions on the chat as well as we go through, and we'll also can pass them along to the presenters as we go throughout the presentation today. And then one last thing is there's going to be a lot of screen sharing back and forth between myself and the presenters and everybody. So just bear with us for a couple seconds in between as we get adjusted between presentations. Just be mindful that you don't see your screen probably will flicker back and forth, but that's just the beauty of Zoom these days and having virtual meetings. So all right. So with that, and without further ado, we'll get started. And so I want to introduce myself as the one of the members of the graduate program administration team, but I wanted to also introduce you to the 5 other members on the screen right now. So you got Tanisha Void, Mauro Kiera, Joe Nicole Abdul, Emily Hall, and Elaine Nee. So basically this is your program administration team. So throughout your career here in the Creative School, you're going to be dealing with us, and we'll be your first point of contact whenever you have a question, you're trying to figure something out, you're trying to go through your program, courses, enrollment. You're already spoken with Joni, for example, for admissions, probably a lot of you, and trying to figure out how to go through the process. So that's pretty much what we do. We want to make sure that your experience here is good. We want to make sure that you can manage the whole university processes and experiences, and also try to help you with all of that. So you'll see our names a lot in emails. The easiest way to communicate with us is just using your program email addresses. So if you email directly to the program email address, we'll sort the emails in the back end ourselves, and we'll respond to you as soon as we can. And so again, now you can put a little bit face to the name, and we'll also get to see you more in your program sessions. We'll actually meet there a little more formally, but for now, just a quick overview of the team so you know who you're talking to when you see them. All right. So next step is a little bit on the agenda. So we have a full agenda today. I won't go through every single item right now because it will take too much time. But if you want to follow along in the agenda, you can go and visit the website that we have for the graduate orientation. And that is posted in the agenda is posted there as well. So feel free to visit that. We'll post that website on the chat in a second or two, so you can follow along. But let's get started with YSGS, which is our graduate studies faculty, and from there we have Dr. Nancy Walton here, is Associate Dean of Student Affairs. She's going to say a little welcome. And Nancy, let me just stop sharing so we can see you. And great. Go ahead, the floor is yours.
Perfect, thanks, Daniel. And I don't have anything to share, so you're just talking head for a few minutes. As Daniel said, my name is Nancy Walton. I'm the Associate Dean of Student Affairs in the Yates School of Graduate Studies. I'm a faculty member here in the university in the School of Nursing. I've been at TMU for just over 20 years, and so I'm bringing a warm welcome to TMU and to the Creative School and to Graduate Studies to you from the Yates School of Graduate Studies. I did my undergrad in philosophy and biology at U of T, and then an undergrad degree in nursing here at TMU many years ago. And then I did a master's with a fast track into a PhD in clinical bioethics at the University of Toronto. And I remember my own orientation to graduate studies, which, as I said, was an unknown but significant number of years ago. It was very different than this. Obviously, it was in person, but I was one of two students in a brand new program in a new building that was still a church that hadn't been converted into an academic building yet. So it was a little bit scarier than this. Let me tell you, one of the things was being one of two students in a small cohort that then, of course, grew over time, that opportunity to shape a program and kind of be one of two people giving feedback. But the other thing that was important about that is that other person who was with me as a brand new master's student also did his PhD alongside me, and we went on to stay friends and colleagues till today. We've helped each other with big decisions, with careers. I went into academia, Shane went into nonprofit world. We've helped each other through difficult circumstances in our careers, and we've just been there for each other. So while you're just looking around at little Zoom pictures right now, what you're looking at is your support network and people who you'll get to know and build community with. I think it's an exciting time to be in grad studies at TMU. I think with the name change last year, which many of you will be familiar with, we've started some really meaningful and I think really demonstrable change at the university, and you will be a part of that. Many of you have probably done extensive research on the university and the program you're in before you got here. And you bring, of course, a rich diversity of experiences in academia, in industry, in arts, in life. And many of you already have a good understanding of what you need to set conditions for your own success. For others, it'll be more exploratory, and you'll need to figure it out as you go along, how you can maintain wellness and also thrive. What I can tell you is I think you are at a school at TMU that has a deep and really lasting commitment to student success and to supporting students through their program. But I would encourage you to do three things. One is find out where the information is that you need on an ongoing basis. You'll have lots of questions. I looked at your agenda today, and after today, you're just gonna be a little overwhelmed, but you're gonna have lots of questions, not just today, but going forward. And I don't mean questions just about policies, but just where do I find this? How do I navigate this? Not knowing is absolutely okay. Ask the questions though, and seek the answers. And if people don't know, they will send you to someone else who hopefully will know. Go to the faculty members who you have classes and seminars and other experiences with. And the graduate administrative team that Daniel just had on the slide are all excellent resources for you to go to and sit down with and spend time, as are your graduate program directors who you'll get to know. You'll get to know a whole bunch of people today, and they will all say, feel free to reach out if there's anything you need, and know that that is truly meant. Second, I would encourage you to get involved as much as you can, knowing that you have a life outside of grad studies and many competing responsibilities, as everyone does in their lives. But getting involved even a little bit helps build that community that you probably aren't sure what it looks like yet, but it helps you be part of building that. And the third thing I'd say is just be kind to yourself. Learn about your limits, be aware of your limits. I'm still figuring mine out. Focus on the ways you need to maintain wellness and whatever wellness looks like to you. And if something isn't going well, or just things aren't quite pulling together the way they should, don't just sit on that and wait for it to change. Reach out to someone, right? Even just to say, I don't know what I need, but I think something's not working for me right now. The earlier you reach out, the more options we can talk about, the more connections to supports we can make. There are lots of supports both in your faculty in the creative school, in the School of Grad Studies, and the broader university that you can take advantage of. And there's also things like events and workshops and programming. So this is in addition to all the classes you'll take that you can get involved with, and will also help you hopefully navigate through your program. Some of the events that we do quite purposefully are to open up space for networking, for opening up your perspectives, for learning. They're cross-campus, they're cross-programs, so you'll also be able to meet grad students from other programs and other faculties. And let me give you a few examples. We have at the Yates School of Graduate Studies a long-standing what's called a Future Smart program, which is a comprehensive professional skills building program. and you take a series of workshops and you get a Future Smart designation on your transcript. We also offer events all year long put on by the Graduate Leadership Institute. We work with the library to put on informational sessions for you on things like citation, on research data management, copyright essentials. And if there's other things you want to know, the library is an excellent place to reach out and say, can you help me with this? We also offer an interactive workshop series called Grad Skills, which it's focused on grad students to help you navigate potential conflict, communication challenges, build strong working relationships with your supervisors, and even if you want, build your brand. And finally, we're trying to offer a little more wellness focused sessions and workshops over the next year. We're introducing this fall a session called Thriving in Action, which is tailored for grad students. And it's really a series of workshops on using mindfulness in not just life. And I'm not talking mindfulness like light a candle and have a bath, but really purposeful mindfulness and time management and reading and taking notes. And in ways to help you move through grad studies and optimizing your own strengths. We're also continuing a new series called Art Breaks, which is a chance for you to step very much outside of your work, outside of whether it's writing or whatever you're doing, and paint some rocks or do acrylic pour painting or stenciling. These are all sessions, they're short, they usually have food, and you don't have to be artistic, you just have to show up. We've run them over the summer, some of them outside, and actually students have really loved them. We also have sessions focused on career planning and preparing for job searches, both within academia and in industry and other contexts. So where do you find out about all this? There is a one-pager from YSGS that I think you should have, Daniel, yes. And that will, yep, and you'll get that. That has active links to all these series of workshops that I talked about, as well as ways to sign up for more information. If you go to torontomu.ca/graduate, that's where you get everything to do with graduate studies and more than you'd ever want to know. But if you go to the News and Events tab, you'll get information on all those events there. You can also sign up for an email that will come to you every Tuesday. And lots of people delete lots of emails, we know, but this is an important email. It's called Grad News. You sign up for it. It gives you information not only on events, workshops, programs, but also on funding opportunities, contests for cash, other kinds of awards and scholarships that you can apply for. And of course, we do have a fairly good social media presence at TMU Graduate, both on X, I guess is now X, and on Insta, but we do promote not only our own events, but other graduate events across the university. I'll just end by saying, as you already know, because you bring experiences to this, to your graduate programs, like many things in life, are really intense. They require a lot of self-motivation, drive, and passion, and the fact that you're here and you're in shows that you have that drive. But you're doing this all in the context of what I would say are really continuing challenging conditions in the world. And so it means you need to take care of yourself. And it means if you need to take advantage of the supports that we offer here. In terms of wellness, it's something that you'll need to gauge and figure out as you move along. I see a lot of cats on the screen, so that's really good for wellness. I've seen now 3 cats, so really encouraging both the cats and the visibility of cats on Zoom. As I said, I encourage you to reach out if something isn't going well, if you need additional support, and if you don't know what you need, but you just need someone to kind of talk about something with and kind of throw some ideas around and say, is this, is what I'm experiencing okay? Is it normal? Mental health and wellness is key. We know that many students are struggling. Everyone's struggling with various things and looking for new ways to be resilient and connect and build community. I think graduate studies can feel at once like you're part of this great big cohort, but also that you're very isolated and on your own at the same time. And that's why you need to figure out what those conditions are for your own success. What you need to do, what you need to put in place for that internal motivation, that drive, and that passion to be accessible to you. That's the fuel. You need to keep going, and an empty tank is not a good thing. So you need to look for ways to fill up that tank again. I'll end here because you're going to get a ton of information from a lot of really great people who want to support you through your programs. I hope you take a look at that one pager, and that'll have all the information you need from YSGS. I do wish you all the best for your graduate careers here at the Creative School. Your success really is our success. And of course, thanks to all the people who pulled this together today and for letting me be here. I hope to see and meet many of you at YSGS events and workshops. And again, I will say, as I hope you hear from every single person today, if there's anything you need, please reach out anytime. Thanks very much. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you very much, Nancy. All right, everyone. I'm just gonna next we have our Dean of the Creative School, Charles Fallison. He's joining us. Charles, are you here? I see you. Yes, Charles, the floor is yours. Go ahead.
I am here. I'm nice to meet everybody. I'm sorry we're not doing. I don't know exactly why we're not doing this on purpose, but I guess it's because it's more complicated to get everybody here at this stage. But good to see you. I'm not as formal. I'm not as structured in what I'm about to share with you, other than the fact that I want to congratulate you for making a really bold decision, a good decision. Because, you know, on the one hand, I could say that at this stage of the way the universe is unfolding and the fields are unfolding and the world is changing, the getting a master's degree or a grad degree of any kind or a PhD is potentially just a theoretical exercise, right? A disconnected exercise from what the world needs. But you didn't just go into a grad degree. You went into a grad degree in a discipline that is innovative, that is creative, that is pushing the boundaries of how we think, how we tell narratives, how we see ourselves, and how we innovate and build the future. And if I dare say so, I think you're doing it in a place at the Creative School that offers you a lot. So you're not just working on your credential, you're working on your evolution as human beings. And I invite you to just take it all in. You know, you're all smart. You can all get your degree, right? But to actually have a voracious appetite to be doing something bigger and different is why you chose the fields. None of our grad degrees are typical, right? You didn't choose your degree because you were, you know, in a linear profession. You chose it because you get a sense that what the world needs is something broader. And yeah, some of you are really creative, and yeah, some of you have perhaps at the moment a linear path, like you want to do this particular thing. But you know, and I'll tell you now, that all of you are going to change and grow into areas that you're not even sure what they are yet. Well, that change and that evolution and that empowerment to be a better you than you ever imagined starts now with this degree. So I'm really proud to welcome you. I know the caliber of our students. I know the caliber of our programs. And I know that every cohort gives us a different type of experience as teachers and as deans and as leaders. I'm excited to know more about yours. As I'm on the third floor of what is called the Rogers Communications Center, so I'm available. Is anybody here from the Media Production Masters by any chance? Yeah, so a handful of you. So I'll even be teaching you personally in second semester. So you get the added bonus of having me as an instructor. I look forward to that. I look forward to meeting all of you soon. And if you ever are wondering about what to do next or where you're going with your path, there's a lot of people here to help you, but I'm always available as well. So have a good one. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Charles. Excellent. And also from the Creative School, we have the Associate Dean of Graduate Studies, Dr. Jean Bruce. Jean, go ahead. The floor is yours. Oh, I think you're muted, Jean, still.
Sorry about that. Daniel, you should have just unmuted me.
Next time I will.
Okay. Everyone's been welcoming you, and I'd like to add my welcome to that as well. I'm Jean Bruce. I'm the Associate Dean of Graduate Education for our faculty. And this is a faculty where all of your graduate programs are located. So welcome. I'm really delighted to share in the beginning of your journey at Toronto Metropolitan, specifically in our creative and professional programs in the Creative School. And like others, I would like to congratulate you all on taking this big step towards an important milestone. Graduate degree is an important, very important milestone. Whether you're pursuing a master's degree or a doctoral degree, you already have many achievements that have brought you to this day. So I applaud you and your resolve in, as other people have mentioned, these times to begin a challenging period in a time that many things are unknown and things are perhaps, scarier than they were even a few years ago. But fear not, we have many exciting things in store for you and many ways to support you along the way. Your graduate degree will help to prepare you for endless possibilities in our ever-changing world. And you will earn a distinction that is not possible for many people. Having even a university degree and undergraduate degree is not possible for many people. Having a graduate degree is really a rarity. So be mindful of that privilege, but I would also suggest that you embrace it. Whatever your degree is on this current path, your brief time with us will have an enormous impact on your other destinations. The opportunities that you encounter here are ones that you will learn and earn, and they come with expectations and responsibilities to both to fulfill both personal goals and goals that have something to do with the public good. You are becoming even more well-equipped to confidently embrace what might come with that knowledge. The creativity and talent that a great education provides is not to be diminished. This is part of what we offer to you and how you can also educate yourself. So this is a journey that is a collaborative process, and it's also unique to you, even though you're amongst other people who are in your cohort. So I would like to ask you about what education means to you. I'd like you to think about that. You will have probably lots of expectations about what that will mean based on your previous experiences, and that's natural and good. From the creative faculty side, the creative school faculty side, education broadly refers to our commitment to you in terms of the teaching, supervision, advising, and other supports that we can provide. But historically and etymologically, the word education comes from the Greek, and it has two distinct but related components that I'd like you to think about for a moment. The first is educere, and the second is educare. The first of these two concepts means to lead out. Educere means to lead out. It's an implicit invitation to lead you to explore other, perhaps unfamiliar ideas. And the second, educare, means training and care. In both of these sides, or these halves of the definition, are concepts that we take very seriously. Some of these things will be addressed by others today in terms of information and training, and others will be unrolled to you and revealed through other specific program orientations. But one thing I'd like you to do is take part in the variety of offerings outside your program curriculum, whether these are special guest speakers or other events. In fact, we will be having a guest speaker, a recent graduate, to share their experience in being a graduate student, but also what they've done since then. So we'll provide you with some details about this event as soon as those details are finalized. Meanwhile, there are areas that we've been exploring ourselves and working on that involve both educere and educare. These are co-curricular enhancements and student supports, which are both in person and online. These are things like grant writing, mentorship possibilities. One of these enrichments is something that I call method minutes. So in addition to learning specific research skills, which you will learn, and specific technological skills aimed at extending your knowledge within your own discipline and in support of your thesis projects, students who take these method minutes will be eligible, if they complete 3 of these short sessions, they will be eligible for one of those future SMART badges or notations on their transcript that Dr. Nancy Walton mentioned earlier. At the same time, students will become more viable as research assistants, since we are gearing these offerings towards specific skills that the Creative Schools graduate supervisors and researchers require. So it works for everyone. These additional offerings are skills that can help you after you have graduated as well. So program-specific activities for our 12 graduate programs will be taking place very soon in the next few days, or they've already just taken place. And we have 10 of these graduate programs, as I mentioned. I won't go through all of them right now, because you will become very well aware of them when we have this big event. And none of the graduate program directors are with us today, or I would have introduced you to them. So finally, as with others, I want to extend an invitation to you to contact me or your program directors if you have questions, concerns, or suggestions that haven't been met by your particular instructor in your course, someone from the administrative team who can help you. If none of these people can help you, or if you just want to chat, we are always available, and we mean that very seriously. We are people. So my final word is that we're very happy that you've decided to join us on this very important part of your educational journey. So welcome again.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Jean.
Excuse me a second, Daniel. Can I just tell Jean that John is on the phone? If you want, John Shiga is, I noticed. I don't know if you knew that, Jean.
Right, so he must have just joined us. There's one graduate program director for our PhD in Media and Design Innovation, John Shiga, if you'd like to wave at people.
Hi, everyone. And MDI students, I'll see you at our orientation on Thursday.
As will I.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Okay, so next on our agenda, we have student life and learning support, and we have Mira Govindasamy here. Mira, you're here. Please go ahead. The floor is yours. If you need to share anything, go ahead and start and share the screen.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I am going to share my screen. Okay. Yeah, thank you for having me here today. It's always exciting to chat with graduate students. I actually was previously a graduate student in the Communication and Culture program. I graduated in 2019. So yeah, I definitely have some lived experience with some of these resources and the experience that you're all having today as well. So I'm going to talk today about learning support and specifically some of the resources that we have to support graduate students. I certainly didn't realize at the beginning of my degree that we had so much available to support graduate students specifically. And then I'm also going to chat a little bit about the Tri-Mentoring program, because there are mentorship opportunities and opportunities to be mentored as well as a graduate student. And these are fairly new programs as well. So it'll be exciting to for all of you to have the opportunity to be a part of that. Okay, so this is me. This is my email, but I'll say you can also find it online very easily. Just like everybody here, I actually really love receiving emails from students and grad students, even if you just kind of want to chat about, your experiences, decisions that you're making, access to any resources. If you're not sure about something that I mentioned and you want a refresher on it, feel free to just send an email and I can at least get you to the right person. So as I mentioned, I'm from Student Life and Learning Support. Specifically, I work in learning support as the academic engagement specialist, but I'm also going to chat today about the Tri-Mentoring program. And then I believe you'll hear from my colleague, Lachelle, later today about international student support. Okay, so what we have in terms of mentorship opportunities for graduate students, and I'll say I've highlighted my colleague Shailee's email at the bottom here. Shailee's the person who oversees all of the graduate student mentorship and mentoring programs at the Tri-Mentoring office. So if you have any more questions, I suggest emailing her. She's very responsive, and I know she'd love to hear from all of you as well. So the first opportunity is to become a grad mentor. So this is an opportunity where you as a graduate student can become a mentor to undergraduate students who are interested in pursuing graduate education. So talking to them about the application process, workload. It's really an opportunity to kind of practice some of those leadership skills, maybe offer to somebody else something that you've learned along the way already. And then participants will get a LinkedIn badge at the end of the program, so you can show that you've participated in this project. It's a time commitment of about 2 hours a month, so not too significant or onerous. Sign up happens throughout September, and I believe that's the QR code to sign up if you're interested, but you can also find it on the TMP website as well. And then the mentorship will happen between October and the end of the semester, or sorry, the end of the academic year. The other way to be involved is through graduate student career mentoring. So this is if you as a graduate student are seeking some career mentorship for after your degree. I know it might seem far away, but graduation will be upon you one day. So if you're interested in learning a little bit more about what kind of opportunities you can look forward to after you graduate, this is a good opportunity for you as well. So again, it's a time commitment of about 2 hours a month. You can apply for the program throughout September and October, complete a 30-minute virtual training, and then you'll be matched with a mentor that you can meet with between November and April, and typically for 2 meetings a month. I'll give everyone a second in case you're grabbing the QR code. Okay, so a little bit about learning support. We have actually 4 areas of support. I'm going to highlight some of the services that we have available through writing and language support, graduate student support. Those are really the 2 areas that I think are most relevant to you. I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think anyone here is doing a huge amount of math, maybe a little bit of computer science. We do have computer science one-on-one mentorship available, and I'll say there is support with statistics. I know some of you might be taking some stats courses as graduate students. So know that that is available, and the support in math support, you'll typically meet one-on-one with someone who is actually a prof either at TMU or at another university. So it is pretty high level support with math. So I'll just put that out there, but the focus today is going to be on graduate student support and writing and language support. Okay, so graduate student support. First of all, this little graphic here is actually a sticker that we're going to have available. So if you're interested in a graduate student support sticker, come to the 4th floor and we can find you one. But graduate student support it's really designed to be writing support that specifically supports students at the graduate level. We know lots of you in your programs now, you're already strong writers. And instead you're looking for support with things like finding community in your writing, staying motivated, understanding how to write different types of assignments. So maybe a literature review, or even your proposals for your master's or PhD research, maybe even research papers or abstracts to participate in conferences. So we offer things that aim to support graduate students at that level. Some of our programming, we offer one-on-one appointments online as well as in person, but we know that, again, graduate students have really been enjoying participating in some of these appointments online. They're hour-long appointments. It's already included in your tuition, so you'll meet with someone who's in one of the later years of their PhD. We also offer dissertation coaching. So if you are someone who's entering a PhD program, dissertation coaching, which I'll chat a little bit more about, is a great opportunity for you. Again, more focused on, the length of time that you're a student and how to stay motivated, how to tackle such a big piece of writing. We offer coffee and writing weekly. So this is an online group. It happens on Wednesdays from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. This is how I got so much of my writing done as a master's student. Really benefited from it. And the best part is after the session, you feel like you can really relax because you like really got work done that day. The Graduate Write-a-thon held annually in April, the Graduate Research and Writing Institute, which I'll talk more about, in-class workshops, and then lots of online resources as well. So coffee and writing, like I said, every Wednesday from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. The group is going to happen online again in the fall semester, just because we found students really benefited from doing the group in that way. It's an opportunity to set goals, write with community, and feel consistently like you're accomplishing something every week, making some incremental progress on some of your bigger writing assignments and projects. There's access to support and coaching anytime throughout that period when you need it. A lot of people really benefit from the sense of accountability, getting to see other people working and feeling that sense of momentum just for a 3-hour crunch. The Graduate Write-a-thon is kind of like an extended version of that. You can see I think this is a photo from a pre-pandemic write-a-thon, although we have been back in person. Last year, we did the write-a-thon in a hybrid format. So we had 30 graduate students, I think about 10 were online and 20 were in person. We have lots of coffee, we provide lunch, and students basically get together, and we do it in 2 to 3 hour writing blocks, depending on how we've formatted things that year, setting goals. And then we have fun counting up all the pages that everybody wrote collectively, wrote and reviewed, we count both. And then we add those up into words so we can see what we can accomplish as a group. Dissertation coaching, as I mentioned. So if you're entering a PhD and you're looking to develop a system of accountability, a bit of a more detailed writing schedule, looking for solutions to things like writer's block, motivation, productivity, maybe balancing a busy work schedule at the same time, developing a writing plan. Just in general, I know it can be kind of an isolating experience sometimes to do a graduate degree, especially once your coursework is done. So dissertation coaching and GSS, graduate student support appointments in general, are a great way to stay connected to the graduate community. Graduate Research and Writing Institute, you can look out for this happening in the fall. This is a series of workshops that are really designed to support graduate students with all things graduate studies. So in past years, we've had a panel discussion about collaborating with your supervisor and other committee members, how to receive feedback, how to integrate that feedback and manage that relationship, talking about scholarly research skills. We also have a session about academic research and writing standards in Canada, if maybe you're coming from an international context to university here, and some of those expectations might be different in a Canadian context. So keep an eye out for this as well. Okay, writing and language support. So a lot of people get confused about the difference between graduate student support and writing and language support. The real difference is that graduate student support is essentially writing support designed for graduate students. Where writing and language support might be interesting and valuable to some of you is if you are someone who uses English as an additional language. Writing and language support also offers lots and lots of conversation groups and one-on-one support, specifically related to English language skills. So you'll notice that there are one-on-one virtual appointments as well as in person at this time. So academic writing appointments, again, I would book a graduate student support appointment if you're a graduate student. However, you might be interested in a grammar and supported self-editing appointment. Again, if you're someone who uses English as an additional language and you're really looking for a second reader, that type of appointment might be useful to you if you're looking for some support and someone to look over your writing. And then listening and speaking appointments, maybe you have a conference presentation coming up and you're looking for someone to practice with, you can book one of these appointments. We also offer drop-in support. So if you're looking for some writing help and you weren't able to find an appointment, because these services do book up quite quickly, we keep drop-in time reserved. So it's on a first come, first serve basis. And we offer 20-minute appointments depending on how many students are waiting. So even if you don't have an appointment and you are really looking for some help or need a question answered, I still recommend looking at the website. All of these are virtual at the moment. So we update it. Oh, yes. Okay, I know I need to wrap up my presentation. I have, I think, one more slide. Let's see. So just be aware of that. I wanted to share the group sessions for folks who are using English as an additional language. We have some other writing groups, lots of workshops, online resources, and that's my email again. And I'm sure we can send the slides out.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Amira. And yeah, if you send us the slides, we'll put up on the website for everybody, so you guys can download the presentation probably the next couple of days. We'll add it to the graduate orientation website. It's right beside the schedule for you guys. Thank you very much, Mira, for all your amazing resources, and make sure everybody please take advantage of them. It's a really, really great thing to have. So make sure you take advantage of it. Okay, next on our slides here, and just gonna see here. Next, we have Alda Escareño. She's a senior creative technologist at the Design Technology Lab. Alda, floor is yours, and feel free to share a screen if you have something.
Thank you. Yes, I absolutely will. First, I'm really really pleased to be with you here today. I had a big career change when I went back and did graduate studies, and so I'm always really eager to support graduate students. I'm a senior technician in the Design and Technology Lab here in the Creative School, and I want to make sure that all of you know that this is a resource to you. Usually I have a spiel and I tell you all the things that the lab has, but we are very fortunate. Today is the world premiere of a brand new video for our lab, which will be much more interesting than me just talking about it. You'll actually be able to see some of the features of our space. Because this is a world premiere, it is not on the internet yet, but I'm going to share it with you today, and it will hopefully be fully shareable in a couple of weeks. Okay, so let me make sure that I can make this work. And I just want to make sure that I'm sharing the sound. Okay. Sorry, did the sound come through there? I hate to pause it, but I just want to make sure that it's set up properly. Yeah, sound good? Great. Okay, sorry. Full play. The Design and Technology Lab is a creative technology-based workshop that supports research, scholarship, curriculum, and entrepreneurship activities across the Creative School at Toronto Metropolitan University. The lab facilitates the use of and access to a wide range of equipment, always looking to evolve the role that this technology can play across disciplines. Having this variety of digital fabrication, scanning, as well as AR, VR, and XR equipment in one space offers a unique opportunity to explore, make, and prototype in a hands-on experiential learning environment. Our 8,300 square foot integrated workshop includes a woodshop space with a wide range of power tools and hand tools, a metalworking shop with MIG and TIG welding capabilities, 4 robotic arms, including a KUKA KR150 housed in our high bay, a Ricoh flatbed UV printer, a Stoll digital knitting machine, a wide range of 3D printers, including FDM, SLA, SLS, and binder jetting technologies, 3 laser cutters, including a Trotec Speedy 2000 with a 99 by 66 inch cutting bed, a 5 by 10 foot 3-axis CNC mill, a Tormac 4-axis milling machine, as well as a handheld shaper mill, a Rococo motion capture suit, 3D scanners, VR headsets, and drones. The Design and Technology Lab offers laser cutting and 3D printing through our online service bureau. Projects requiring the use of other hardware and software can be discussed during our open lab hours, when students can work in the space directly with our technicians. The lab also hosts weekly workshops year-round, focusing on a range of digital fabrication skills and equipment. Through an annual partnership with the Design Fabrication Zone, we also offer up to 10 student grants. Grant recipients receive $500 towards realizing their project goals, and the opportunity to work in the lab with hands-on support from our technicians. To learn more about the Design and Technology Lab, visit our website and follow us on social media. All right. Okay, so oh my gosh, sorry about that. So I just wanted, in addition to that, I just wanted to kind of let you all know that this is a space that's open to you. That we are here for all your creative ideas. If you want, if there's a point in your research where like you want to get making, or you want to start to figure out how making can play a role in your research and how you can access the equipment down here, I'm always happy to talk projects or problem solve different ideas. There's a few different ways of getting in touch with me. You can find me just through our website, which was mentioned there at the very end. You look up Design and Technology Lab on the Toronto MU website and you will find us, and my email is listed there. We are also going to be hosting open lab hours every Friday. So access to our space during the week can kind of depend on what we have going on. We usually have classes that take place in our space, but on Fridays we're going to keep it wide open so you can come in here and talk to us directly. If you have any questions about anything that was mentioned there, or again, you just want to know how you can come in and kind of like work in our space, we can talk about all that. Any of the equipment that was mentioned on the website, you just need a reminder, it's all listed on our website, so you'll be able to kind of reference back to it. And the only thing that I'm going to reiterate that was in the video, but I want to make sure that like it's really out there and you guys know that it's going to be coming up, is that every year we do offer 10 student grants. The call for applications usually goes out kind of end of October, with submissions due at the beginning of December. And these grants are for $500 that will cover material cost, but it would also allow you to be a person that is kind of like working in our space directly with the technicians here in the lab, and you will be trained up on the equipment so that you can spend as much time as you need to down here. All the information for that will be shared through our social media on our website. So you'll definitely be hearing about it. But if it's something that you think might be especially relevant to your research, please look out for that. Okay. Again, so my name is Alda. You can find me on the Design and Technology Lab website, and I look forward to hearing about all your projects.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Alda. And for everyone, make sure to take advantage of those resources. They're a great thing. Just, if you just want to explore and play, make sure you visit the Design and Technology Lab. The website's on the graduate orientation website as well, so you can just link it from there. Make sure you bookmark it, keep it there, and then if you ever need it, you have access to it. Okay, next on our agenda here, we have zone learning. So JP Silva, manager of zone operations, is here to present to you about zone learning and what zone learning is. So JP, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you so much for the opportunity to address the group here. Welcome to TMU, or welcome back to TMU for some of you. I'm guessing that some of you have done your undergraduate studies at university, so welcome back. I have a few slides. Unfortunately, we haven't gotten to do a video, so I'm just going to share a few slides with you. So for those of you that have been at TMU, you've probably heard about zone learning before. For those that haven't been at TMU, this idea of zone learning is probably very new. There's going to be a colleague of mine presenting on the Creative Innovation Studio sometime towards the latter part of the afternoon. I'm not going to steal his thunder, but at the same time, I'm going to give you a little bit of an intro here to zone learning. So zone learning is something quite unique to university in name, but of course, in terms of what it does, It's, of course, something that's common to other institutions, and we support students. We've primarily supported students outside the curriculum in supporting them to start their ventures or nonprofits or develop products and services or serve causes. So that's primarily been done outside the curriculum, and that's what David is going to speak a little bit more towards the end of the afternoon, as I mentioned. I'm going to talk a little bit about zone learning in the curriculum, which is something relatively new to the university, because the idea here was to bring some of the ethos of zone learning and the zones into some of the curricular opportunities at university. So this is the zone learning website. As you can see on the right-hand side there, you have the link to it, torontomu.ca/zone learning. And so you'll be able to find a lot more about zone learning does here. David is going to mostly talk about the zones, or 3 zones in particular, the creative zones. I'm going to be talking about something that we have under opportunities, which, as I mentioned to you at the very beginning, is what we're offering within the curriculum. And so we started off a couple of semesters ago with a course called DG 8116, which is essentially a course for you to pursue your passion project. It's called, as I mentioned, DG 8116. It's been offered since fall 2022. And since we've started offering this course, it's an elective, a graduate elective. We've had students from 4 different programs. That's the Master in Digital Media, the Master in Professional Communication, the Master in Social Work, and the Master of Biomedical Engineering. So as you can see, it's a course that is very much interdisciplinary, because, again, zone learning serves students all around the university. So it's not necessarily a course only for creative students, but students from all around the institution. And that's by design, because we believe that the various academic disciplines and the various programs and students from these programs have a lot to share with each other and a lot to encourage and a lot to support each other. And so you'll have 12 weeks to work on a project. It can be a solo project. It can be a project that you do with someone else, that someone else can be enrolled in the course or not. It's entirely up to you to decide how you want to go about doing that. And you can use those 12 weeks to start a project, to launch a project, or to grow a project. However, this needs to be in the real world. It needs to be something that you do in connection with the world out there, because that's traditionally been the focus of zone learning, to help connect learning opportunities within the institution with the outside world. And that's sort of, as what I was referring at the beginning, the ethos of zone learning. I would say that most students and most projects start with an idea, but we've had about a third of them working on projects that already existed, and they wanted to sort of grow them and take them up to the next level. In terms of types of projects, we've had very different types of projects: apparel, magazines, online courses, marketplaces, job placement services, community services, etc. What really drives students to this course is the opportunity to work on a passion project of their own. So we don't choose the project for you. It's up to you to define what you want to work on. You have complete freedom and agency to work on your project. This is very much, as you can already understand, a very self-directed course. It has a curriculum for sure, but the curriculum is more around transferable skills like critical thinking, creative thinking, problem solving, leadership, communication, etc., that help you to start, launch, and grow your project. But importantly, it's also a learning opportunity that connects with like-minded peers from around the university, which tends to be one of the biggest benefits for participants. And you'll be able to notice that a little bit when I start sharing some testimonials. So I'm just going to scroll through a number of projects that have been developed in the course. One was from a student that wanted to create a nonprofit to support second-generation South Asian Canadians, and so to create a safe space for South Asian Canadians, particularly women, to talk about some of the challenges and issues from within their livelihoods, their families, their cultures, etc. So this was a project that was explored by a student, and is currently doing pop-ups, doing activities, doing workshops, etc. It's primarily focused in Scarborough and South Asian Canadians, but at the same time, it's very much a project that is within the GTA and within the overall fabric of nonprofits in this area. Another project that we supported through the course was a magazine called Vegas. This was from a student in the Master in Digital Media, and the magazine already existed, but the participant, the student, wanted to take this project to the next level. And so they primarily work on a number of products that had sort of the Vegas ethos that were for creative students, for creatives and creative students. And they spent a semester sort of developing those products they could sell in their pop-ups and markets on their website. So that was one of the projects that spoke very closely to creatives. But at the same time, we had a student from the Masters in Professional Communication that developed a resource for graphic designers to go through the brand details of several companies that exist in Canada and outside. And so this involved a lot of research that was also part of some of the research they were doing for their masters. And so it's still in the works, but it's very much something that already exists and it's working, and it's an opportunity, a resource for other creatives and graphic designers sort of benefit from the research work that they did in their masters, as well as knowledge that they had from previous professional experience. Another project that I wanted to share from a Master in Professional Communication was the Right to Peace project. This is another nonprofit where the learner, the student, was working on this idea that all cultures and all countries and all peoples have the right to peace. And so this is a very ambitious and long process and long project, which is about sort of bringing this idea to political governments, to all kinds of communities and groups, to start this discussion and this process of peace becoming a right to everyone. Another project that was pursued in the course was from a student in the Master in Digital Media. It was very interesting in creating job opportunities for current students that had some time and needed to make some money. And this was the way that they found to do that. So they created JobClip, which is this platform where anyone can come and see limited short working opportunities depending on the skills that everyone has. And this was a project that they developed and worked on throughout the semester. And lastly, I wanted to share another project that another student from the Master in Digital Media has been working on, which is sort of this library of ebooks. And the idea is essentially to sort of bring ebooks that have been created by creatives and other professionals that are around health and wealth and relationships and other topics, sort of more in terms of personal and professional development, and creating a place for them to be purchased and for comments and critiques to be provided on that. So as you can see, all of these projects are projects that had some component of creative work. At the same time, they were being placed in the real world. And at the same time, these projects were very close to the research that these participants were doing in their own graduate programs. And so it's an opportunity for you, again, to do that, be able to combine all these aspects in a course that counts towards your degree, and it's very self-directed. I'm just going to share briefly some quotes there, so just give you a little bit of more sense of what the course entails. For instance, this student said the entire experience was very eye-opening. It was amazing to be surrounded by other young creatives, and it was so cool to see the variety of projects with just one class. Another student said, I think the course inspires mindfulness and reflection when creating a project. With biweekly and monthly reflections, students think critically and mindfully about what they're working on and track their progress. Another student said, the experience was so different from any other classes and was rather refreshing because I got to work on what I truly was passionate about, and I had a lot of freedom to do so, which I appreciated. And lastly, a student from the Master in Professional Communication said, the entire experience was exceptionally positive. I was able to bring a project I wanted to work on to life, had an excellent opportunity to collect feedback and encouragement from peers and industry contacts. So hopefully this gives you a little bit more context around this course, which is an opportunity that we have for you at the Creative School, as well as for graduate students. The schedule for this fall is Wednesdays from 3 to 6 p.m. The schedule for winter is still not been defined, but I wanted to tell you that this is a course that is offered both in fall and winter semesters, unfortunately not in spring, summer. So if you go to the Zone Learning website, look for the link here on the URL here on the right-hand side, and you'll come to this web page. And you should essentially scroll all the way down where you can see some video testimonials from past participants. And if this is really something that sort of resonates with you, you should go scroll back up and book a meeting to meet with me and to discuss your interest in the course, your project, and sort of try to find more about the course in details. If this, of course, because I wasn't really able completely to offer you all the details today, I'm sure you're going to have some follow-up questions. So prepare those questions and come talk to me. With that said, I would still take the opportunity to invite for questions if anyone has any questions or any thoughts about all this. Well, I guess there's no questions. So thank you so much for your time today and your attention. I'm guessing that these slides are going to be available, but at the same time, highly encourage you to look for the course webpage on the TMU website and reach out and book a time for us to chat. Thank you so much for your attention today. Take care.
Awesome. Thank you very much, JP. And yes, we'll put up the slides up on the websites and as we have them, and then we'll usually be able to share with everybody for everybody to visit. Okay, now we're running a little bit behind in terms of timing, but I know everyone needs a little break. So let's do a 3-minute break. Well, shut up. We'll come back in 3 minutes. It's what, 3:09 right now. How about 3:12 to be precise? How's that? So let's take a little break, stretch out, a little yoga, whatever you need to just relax a little bit, and then we'll be back in 3 minutes. Thank you very much. We'll see you in a second. Okay, we'll just give it a minute for everybody to come back, and thank you very much for bearing with us, guys. And yes, that was so good. Always good to have a 3-minute break. All right, so let's keep going here. All right, so next on the agenda we have library and archive. So Naomi Eschenbaum, oof, what happened there? Sorry about that. There we go. So you can share now. All right, so Naomi, it's all you. Go ahead. Floor is yours.
Thanks so much. Hello, everyone. It's great to be here this afternoon. And I'm here with my team of liaison librarians, and we're happy to spend the next short while introducing you to the TMU library services and resources. So essentially, there are 4 of us who work with the Creative School. With me today are Michelle, Fiona, and Holly, and we each work with specific programs within the Creative School. You can find out which one of us is your liaison librarian on this slide, or by checking our subject librarian pages, which we'll make sure to point out to you today. So liaison librarians essentially work with Creative School faculty, students, and staff, and we make sure that the library is supporting the teaching, learning, and research needs of students and faculty in terms of the services and resources that we offer and that you need through your program. And with that, we're going to do a little bit of a relay race here. So I'm going to hand it over to Michelle now.
Thanks so much. Like Naomi said, I'm a subject librarian for Creative School, and I'm doing journalism, the Masters of Design and Innovation, and Media. Combined all the programs, Media and Design Innovation, and the Masters of Digital Media, as well as RTA. The TMU library, if you haven't been yet, is located at the corner of Gould Street and Nelson Mandela Way. So you can enter from 2 main ways. So you can either go through the Student Learning Center. So if you go up through the big glass building on Yonge Street, you can get to the 2nd floor and the main entrance of the library, or you can go in through the pod building and go up to the 2nd floor and find the main entrance of the library there as well. We have a whole series of links here, and I really encourage you to go back through the slides and find the ones that are most relevant to you. But we have the hours that are available. You can spend time in the library from 7 a.m. to 1 a.m. Monday through Friday, and then 10 a.m. to 1 a.m. Saturday and Sunday. We have a lot of resources that are available depending on what you're looking for. So for instance, in addition to checking out books and other materials, we have a laptop lending service. You can find course readings available. You can have one chapter or one journal article that is a print copy scanned and delivered to your email so that you can get that as an electronic resource in addition to all our electronic resources that are available at all times. We have study spaces that are available throughout the library. So you can use like the traditional kind of single like study carrel, or really nice little areas that you can talk or study silently. And we also have rooms that you can book to work in groups. So if you want to have a study group or a writing group come together with a screen or with some big tables to work out together, we have that available to book. We have research guides for every subject that is offered at the university that highlight the resources for specifically tailored to that topic. So really drilling down to how to find the materials that are most relevant for your research. There's a lot of online workshops that run throughout the year, and we'll be starting up really heavily in the fall on all sorts of topics that will be interesting to you in terms of your writing and research. And I really want to stress at the bottom that you can get help from us in any number of ways. So we have online options that include like a text-based chat service that has weekend hours as well as weekday hours. We have the subject librarians that Naomi introduced at the start, and we can really work with you as grad students on your very specific research questions. And there's also virtual appointments that you can schedule, and all of that is available through our website, or when you're coming into the library on the 2nd floor, there's a research help desk, which is staffed during our business hours, and you can visit the person there and ask for research help. We also have a lot of additional resources that may be relevant to you and that I really encourage you to explore. We have a lot of computers available. So the 2nd floor of the main floor of the library has hundreds of computers that are available at all times. We have our archives and special collections. We have things like the DME, Digital Media Experience, or the Collaboratory. Those are both maker spaces and places that you can use things like 3D printers, fabrication equipment, virtual reality and augmented reality tech. Talk to somebody about something that you might want to do as part of your research or your studies, and really get a lot of specialty support in those areas. We also have a lot of support for things like geospatial data and other kinds of data. So if you're looking for data, or you're looking for a place to house your data sustainably, like we have our research data management team, as well as our geospatial data and GIS team. And we have a lot of other things like the material connections space, which has actual physical samples of industrial design and fabric materials for you to review if you're actually working on fabrication. It's a really interesting space to explore.
Hi everyone, my name is Fiona. I'm just going to talk about access to the library. So you can access the library resources in person as well as at home remotely. Just linking the library website in the chat now. So whenever you do need to do research, our library website is a great place to start. And from there you can access online journals, databases, and ebooks. And then to access things electronically, like journals and all that, you would just need to sign in with your my.torontomu account, and it'll be the same login as your TMU email. We also love it when you come and visit us in person. So we have a lot of resources you can come look at, like books, and we also loan things like laptops, like it was already mentioned. So in person, you'll actually need your one card to enter the building. And then your one card will also become your library card for borrowing stuff at the library. And you can also use your one card to print and photocopy anything you need. So we've got quite a big collection, and we really want you to use it because we do spend quite a bit of money on it. So in 2021, we spent $8.4 million on resources at the library, including $8 million in electronic resources. And some of the great electronic resources and other resources that we've just listed here in the slides include some stuff like Art Store, which is a digital library, a digital image library, and it has around 2.5 million images in the arts, architecture, humanities, and sciences that you can use for your research. There's also FADIS, which is another digital library for art, architecture, and visual culture. We've got a big DVD collection with around 700 titles, and you can also stream video from home or from anywhere else by using streaming services that the library has purchased, like Canopy and Criterion on Demand. So if we don't have it in the library, don't despair. We have a lot of options for you. So if it's not in the library, we'd love it for you to let us know. And we could try to, your subject librarian can try to acquire what it is that you're looking for. Don't feel awkward about doing this because you're really helping us build a richer collection. Grad students especially, we often rely on you to help us build our collection to match emerging research areas that you're studying. So please reach out if there are titles you wish we had. And another option, if we don't have something, is to use interlibrary loan. So you can borrow from other libraries. So the library's paying for this, and that means that it's entirely free for you. And you can request articles to be sent to you or books to be delivered from other libraries to TMU Library for pickup. And finally, we also have agreements with other Canadian universities to use their libraries. So you can go and borrow books in person directly from these libraries. All you need is your library card, your TMU library card, which is your one card. And you just show that at the circulation desk of that library. The only exception here is U of T.
Hi, my name is Holly. I'm the liaison librarian for Image Arts, and I'm also the special collections librarian. The TMU library homepage is your gateway to all of the resources my colleagues have been talking about today. The library homepage is loaded with access points to information and services, which is a good thing, but it can be a little overwhelming until you approach it piece by piece. It's a good idea to take a little time early on in the semester to find your way around the library website. It makes it easier later. The homepage has links designed to lead you to resources that you're most likely to need. Signing in with your Toronto MU identity is available on every page near the top, and provides you with access to your library account and to subscription services such as academic journals or film streaming. There's also a button on the top of every page that allows you to renew items that you have out on loan. There are 2 search bars near the top of the homepage. A general search bar up top searches the library's web pages and is useful for finding library services. The large search bar on the homepage that's centered over the picture of campus allows you to find library materials like books and articles. For more refined search results, you just click on the link to advanced searching in the lower right of the bar. And if you're doing research for assignments, it's almost always a good idea to limit your searches to scholarly materials from the beginning by clicking the tab on the search bar just at the lower left that asks for scholarly material. Just below the main search bar, you'll find buttons that lead to our opening hours live chat. A yellow pop-up box at the bottom of the page also links you to chat. And the list of research guides your liaison librarians have prepared to make it easier for you to navigate through all the resources that the library holds. The 3 columns below the picture give you quick links. The needs of higher level researchers, such as copyright or interlibrary loans, are addressed in the faculty and graduate student box in the center column, but don't skip past the student section. It's not just for undergrads. The list of links in the students box is also focused on high priority resources and services for all students. And there again, you'll find a link to the research guides that we've prepared for your specific disciplines. There are course readings there, scan and deliver service, as well as bookings for study space, research help, or the digital immersion lab. They're all listed there. And tutorials on how to use all of the library's resources are also available in the Become Library Ready link area. Next slide, please, Fiona. Thank you. But you don't have to remember all of this. The librarians at TMU are there to help you all year long. Your subject librarians know the resources in your discipline. You can also book more general help with research with a research librarian, booking an appointment, or more immediate help by using the chat. Hopefully you'll try them all. Getting help from the librarians at TMU can be a lifesaver if you're having trouble finding the resources that you're looking for, but it can also help you discover materials and services that you might not have realized you could use in your work. So let the librarians help you take advantage of all the resources that are offered to you as a student at TMU by booking an appointment. And thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, library team. It's very useful. I'm sure everybody will run and meet you over there at some point because there's going to be a lot of research and assignments happening here. So thank you very much for putting all that stuff together. And we'll add the slides to the website again, so you have all the links and everything in there for all of you guys, all students coming in. So, okay, next we have the Center for Excellence in Learning and Teaching. And Dr. T is an educational developer, and they're going to talk about TA and GA, graduate student support and resources. So go ahead, floor is all yours.
Sorry, I had a slight technical issue there. Thank you so much for having me. And I want to say I'm here with Jocelyn, who is one of our graduate educational developers here at the center. So the Center for Excellence in Learning and Teaching has a variety of resources to support those of you who are working as TAs or GAs during your time here at TMU. So the purpose of this presentation is to introduce you to some of those supports and give you a sense of how to get more resources if you get a TA or GA contract and you're sort of wondering, well, what now? So first, a brief introduction to the folks in the center. So I'm one of the full-time staff members who supports the TA-GA program. My colleagues are Sadia Rahmani and Zara Shah. And we are also supported by a great team of graduate educational developers. So Jocelyn, do you want to talk a little bit about your role as a GED?
I do. I just wanted to let you know that if you're clicking next slide, it's not appearing.
So what are you seeing? Are you seeing
I'm seeing the first slide.
Interesting. So I'm seeing the meet the team slide. So what is going on here?
I can just go for it. I can look at my second screen, but I'm not sure if everyone else is seeing the third slide or the first slide.
I think if you stop sharing for a second and then share again, it's just sharing the opposite screen. If you have two screens, just try sharing the other screen, see if that works. Or now we see the meet the team slide. If you
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, let me try this again.
Okay,
How's that?
We're on slide 3.
Great. Okay.
Perfect.
So
okay.
I'll just stay in this view and then we can not have any problems.
Okay, awesome. So thanks so much for the introduction, Em. My name is Jocelyn Mendez Guzman. I'm there in the bottom right corner, and I am also a part of the Center for Excellence in Learning and Teaching, and my role here is a graduate educational developer. So we get to have a really cool role. I might be biased though, because I'm really into teaching and learning, and I think it's important as a graduate student to not just come in and do your duties and just be a TA, GA, get it over with, but also ensure that you know how to leverage the skills that you're gaining throughout your graduate degree and know how to then sell yourself for whatever jobs you may need, not even for professional cases, but also as an individual and as a learner and as a lifelong learner. So we just ensure that we can make workshops that are helpful for you to meet your professional goals and personal goals. And we also host some really cool workshops along the way and symposiums. And we have a TA day that's coming up that we can talk a bit more about later. But essentially, we just want to make sure that we take care of our graduate students and help teach them and build the skills that they may need in whatever the path it is that they want to pursue.
Okay, thank you. So our presentation today is going to go over some of the supports that CELT has for graduate students. So just to give you a preview, we'll be talking about our asynchronous TAGA orientation, the Graduate Teaching Development Program, TAGA Day, and the TAGA Awards. So right now, one thing that you can do this very evening, if you are so inclined, is go to the link on the screen or the link that will be in the slides that will be shared with you after this presentation to enroll in the asynchronous orientation, which will help you to understand your role as a TA or a GA here at TMU. So you can complete this at your own pace. And it goes through key topics that are really good to keep in mind with this role, such as how to work with your supervising instructor, what your duties and responsibilities are, and also importantly, what they are not, how to build rapport with your students, how to use some basics of D2L Brightspace, which might be part of your role depending on your faculty members' comfort with D2L, and then finally some resources for student success. And at the end, you will get a certificate of completion like the one that you see on the screen. So if you have a TA or GA contract coming up, that's something you can do to get ready. And if you have a TA or GA contract later in your time at TMU, you can take this orientation whenever is useful for you. So the next level of sort of gaining knowledge about teaching and learning as a graduate student is the GTDP. So Jocelyn, do you want to talk about this?
Absolutely. So the GTDP is awesome, and especially because of the fact that it's free. So if you're a graduate student, you can totally enroll. And like we mentioned earlier, you are obviously going to get the chance to develop teaching skills by being a TA or GA, or depending on your program, you get a position or you might not get a position. But I think the GTDP is a really valuable program because you will learn firsthand how to develop teaching philosophies, how to gain feedback, how to ask for feedback from your students, implement that type of feedback. And if you're interested in academia or teaching as a professor, I think this is your first step to learning how to do all that. And There's various levels that we'll get into in a little bit, but overall, if this interests you, if you want to develop your skills a little more in teaching and learning and higher education, then you can totally register. And we have a little QR code here. So if you want to take out your phones and register there, or there's a link here. So later when you get these slides, you can click on that. So just know that just because you're doing the workshop courses, that doesn't automatically make you eligible to get a certificate in this program. You have to ensure that you are registering. So make sure you actively register for that.
Yeah, thanks. And one thing to keep in mind is when you register, you'll be on our mailing list, so you'll get information about all the workshops and programs that we're offering. So my recommendation would be, if you're interested in developing your skills in education, that you go ahead and register. And then that makes you eligible to do many of the things that we'll be talking about for the rest of this presentation. So the GTDP is split into a couple levels. Do you want to talk about those, Jocelyn, or do you want me to go over that?
I can go for it.
Okay.
So as we discussed GTDP, of course, there's level 1, which I think is a good introductory way to just get your feet wet and see if teaching or becoming a professional teacher in higher education is something that you like. So level 1 consists of completing 4 workshops, which we run at the Center for Excellence in Learning and Teaching. And we'll talk a little bit more about what those entail, but they are always very useful. Even if you don't end up wanting to do the certificate in and of itself, those workshops will help you become a better TAGA, and you can choose which 4 workshops you want to use to complete toward the GTDP. And then, of course, there is going to be a CILT 100 course, and that's basically a course that runs usually spring, summer, and you learn a lot more about teaching, how to actively engage your students, how to get feedback. You learn more about how to write a teaching philosophy, which is something that you will need if you're, again, interested in teaching throughout academia. And then if you're comfortable with level 1, that's kind of all the only place you want to go, that's fine, you can stay there. Or if you really like level 1 and you want to try out level 2 and have the second certificate for it, showing that you completed level 1 and level 2, you also get to take the CILT course again, but this one is 105, so it's level 2, and you learn more about creating teaching dossiers and creating like a curriculum course. So you're getting more into the meat of learning how to be a professional teacher, preparing you again so you can leverage these skills for when you one day want to get a teaching contract, if that's what you want, and if not, just so you can have this personal goal of becoming a better TAGA, and just to say, hey, I'm really into teaching and learning, look how dedicated I am. And then, of course, you get to take one of the following courses. You do peer observation of teaching, instructional skills workshop, or course instructor apprenticeship. So these 3 are kind of different forms of shadowing, and they all have like a variation of hours that you commit to it. So if you know that summer, spring, you're a little more busy with research, you can maybe pick one that has less hours. Or if you're like, hey, I have a lot more free time, then you can pick a more intensive one. And there's more information about what each of these entails on our website.
Great. Yeah. So as you're going through the 2 levels of the CIL of the GTDP, part of what you need to do get the certificate, which of course then can be on your LinkedIn site or in any kind of teaching portfolio you're putting together, is our 6-week courses, CILT 100, which, as Jocelyn said, is for level 1, and CILT 105, which is for level 2. Both are 6 weeks. They usually start a few weeks into the semester. They don't cost you anything. And they're designed, the first of them, CILT 100, is designed for individuals with all levels of teaching experience. So if teaching isn't a career goal for you, but you are teaching as part of your degree program and you want to get acquainted with active learning techniques and just learn how to manage your classroom better, that's the focus of CILT 100. There will be 2 sections of that offered this fall. I will be teaching one of them on Monday evenings, and my colleague Sadia will be teaching one of them on Wednesday evenings. They will be in person on campus in the active learning classroom in Kerr Hall West, which is a brand new space that some folks from the center were involved in creating. CILT 105 is more aimed at folks who are thinking about teaching in higher education, or at least thinking that teaching will be a component of their future work. And that will be offered in the spring, or sorry, excuse me, in the winter and then in the spring. And concludes with you really being able to develop a course syllabus. So whereas 100 is based on classroom management, 105 is based on sort of thinking about your course as a whole. How do the different components contribute towards your students' learning? So those courses are are necessary if you want to get the 2 levels of certification. But whether you want to get those levels of certification or not, you are still welcome to participate in our workshops. So this is, we don't need to go through every single point, but this is the part of the schedule of the workshops that we're offering this fall. So Jocelyn and the other GETs will be involved in presenting those workshops. So I'm going to hand over to her to talk about them a little bit more.
Yeah, thank you. So these are the upcoming TA workshops we have for you. I think it's important to know as well that if you have an active TA GA contract, that you might be eligible to get paid if you do the equity and inclusion in the classroom. And then I think it's one of the following 3 here. So grading practices and effective feedback, active learning in labs and tutorials, and discussions as active learning. So if you want to make sure of that, I think it's important to speak to your department coordinator or whoever is in charge of coordinating those contracts. Just reach out to them and confirm, hey, is this the case? Do I complete these? Which ones? How is that processed? Always ask for information and get a paper trail. So I think these courses are really informative and really helpful, especially for equity and inclusion in the classroom. I think it's important for everyone who is teaching a classroom, being at the front of a classroom, to understand how their words may fall onto certain ears. You have to be aware of the fact that many people come from different walks of life. So I think this is a great one. And then, of course, grading practices, effective feedback. It matters how you give feedback to your students. It helps them and it helps you to realize how you can both become better learners and teachers out of this. And then active learning and discussions as active learning are great because not everyone has a super outgoing personality. We're all different. And I think it's not always easy to manage and take control of the classroom. And I think these are really helpful in ensuring that you're keeping your students engaged, but also being able to manage your classroom and keep discussion going. So I hope to see you guys at all of these.
Great. And we have also, so those are the core workshops, which are things that we always offer. These are our optional workshops. And for time's sake, we don't need to go through them in the same way, but these are the when I say optional, I mean that these are workshops that we might or might not offer. So if there's one of them that jumps out to you as something that you have concerns about or that you are passionate about, I would recommend enrolling. So all of these you can enroll at the link that is on the slides, and each one is capped. So I would say if there's one that you know is going to fit into your schedule and which you're interested in, I would go ahead and register for that sooner rather than later. As Jocelyn mentioned, if you choose to go on to level 2 of our GTDP, there's a variety of professional development activities you can do to get real live teaching experience, in addition to whatever experience you've had as a TA or GA. So there are 3 forms of this. You only have to pick one to get the certification. The first is pure observation of teaching, which is schedule. Essentially, you'll be put into a small group of graduate students who will teach lessons to one another and give feedback on their technique. The second option is the instructional skills workshop, which is an intensive workshop. It gives you it's from an internationally recognized certifier of educational professionals. and it runs over 3 to 4 days. So it's intensive, but it can be really good for developing your skills. And the final form is if there's a faculty member that you really click with, say it's someone you've worked as a TA or GA contract with, you can actually arrange with them a course instructor apprenticeship where you gain practical experience in course instruction. Maybe you deliver some guest lectures or otherwise help out with the actual delivery of the class beyond your normal TA duties. And particularly if you have a strong faculty mentor relationship or develop one during your time here in the Creative School, that can be also a really rewarding experience. All 3 of these experiences, the center supports you. You'd be in contact with me and with Sadia, and we help you to arrange your time and reflect on these experiences so that they're meaningful development for you. We also have coming up an event, an all-day symposium on for TAs and GAs. It's on August 28th. It's here in DCC. Currently, you can sign up for that on the TAGA site that's been linked to a couple of times in these slides. I will say right now it's to a waiting list. But if you're going to be around on August 28th and you've not yet signed up, there's no harm in putting your name on the waiting list. So this will feature a keynote, panels on life as a TA, and you also hear from the winners of our TAGA awards, which is the final piece I'll be talking about. So one of the things that we do to, don't know why this moved up. One of the things we do to support TAs and GAs here at the center is to recognize outstanding TAs and GAs. So we grant this award once a year, but there are 2 nomination cycles, once in November and once in May. It is a self-nominated award. So I want to take this moment to encourage each of you who works as a TA or a GA and who has a good experience or enjoys your experience to go ahead and nominate yourself, right? Like one structural issue with self-nominated awards is that not everyone necessarily has the personality and the cultural training where they feel that it's appropriate or something they want to do to put themselves forward for an award. Let me just say here that I've already encountered in my short time at TMU lots of great TAs and GAs, and many potential award winners are in the room with us today, I'm sure. So please go ahead and nominate yourself. We love to see the reflection on teaching and the letters from supporting faculty come in to help us at the center know just how much great work is happening here at the university. In addition to that TA and GA award, we have some resources that are always available to you on our CELT website. We have a podcast, because why not, which covers all kinds of crucial issues in teaching. I know they recently did an issue or an episode on AI in teaching that might be helpful for many of you as we're entering this brave new world of generative AI. We have a teaching guide for Black Studies that helps folks to integrate Black Studies into their classroom in meaningful ways and to forward anti-racist education. And we have a variety of other resources for TAs and GAs all around the site. I often get questions when we do these kinds of presentations about TA-GA contracts. So Jocelyn, do you want to bring us home with this?
Absolutely. So I think something that we established at the beginning is it's very important to know your contract and what you should be doing, and more importantly, what you shouldn't be doing. So it will dictate a lot about how you feel your role is, if it's too burdensome, if it's not burdensome. You might want to check your contract and make sure you're doing everything that is outlined there. But again, if you have questions about your contract, there are different questions you might need to know. If it's more specific about the course you're teaching and what you need to know about the course you're teaching, you can definitely talk to your supervising instructor. But if you have questions about like pay schedules or hours, or just looking at your pay stubs, you're not sure if your taxes are being taxed accordingly, you can reach out to HR. Just know that they're the appropriate people to reach out to with regards to pay schedules, etc. If you have questions about more so like contract and duties, I know in the past for us, we were able to get out of marking one specifically really huge assignment that was way out of our hours. So we contacted the Unit 3 Chief Steward. So that's really helpful if you think something is out of your duties or contract or collective agreement, which you can look at in our contacts and resources for TAGAs. This is a really helpful contact to know. I think if you know your resources and you know the people that can help you, you'll be well equipped to overcome any issues you might have or that might arise. And then again, if there's any issues that you don't know who you should contact, your department chair is also always really helpful. They might not be the right person to answer your question, but they can always help redirect you to the appropriate person. So again, we don't have the answers to all of your specific contracts, but again, if you want to take a picture or a screenshot of this slide or wait until it comes around, just know your resources and who you should be contacting with regards to any questions about your contracts.
Thank you. So thank you all. I apologize again for the technical issues. I'm going to have to figure out what's going on with this particular display I'm plugged into. But I appreciate all of your attention. I saw that there's some comments coming in the chat. Okay, so thank you all very much for your time, and I'll be happy to take any questions now or later by email.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't see any questions on this side. So yeah, very excellent. Thank you very much. We'll again post the slides on the website so everybody has them, and we can contact and check the websites, all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of information thrown at you guys. So we'll try to keep everything on that graduate orientation website, so you can always access it later if you need to go in there as well. Excellent. So again, thank you very much, Jocelyn and Matt, for everything. Next on our presentation, we have who's that? Shannon and Green from Academic Integrity Office. Shannon, floor is all yours. Thank you.
Thanks so much for having me. So let me go ahead and share my slides here. Just one moment. All right, is everyone able to see that? Great. Yes, so my name's Shannon Nguyen. I'm from the Academic Integrity Office. I'm an academic integrity specialist there. And, understandably, you might not have heard of the Academic Integrity Office quite yet. So what we're a neutral support team for students and instructors here at TMU. And our primary goal is education and creating a culture of academic integrity across the university. So we are responsible for administering Policy 60, which is the academic integrity policy at our university, and to ensure that it's carried out in a fair and transparent way. So part of our responsibilities, for example, is facilitating meetings between students and instructors when there's any concerns that academic integrity may have been breached. So at TMU, we all have a shared responsibility to foster and uphold the highest standards of academic integrity. And what that includes are fundamental values of honesty, trust, fairness, respect, responsibility, and courage. So these values are central to the development and exchange of knowledge, as you can imagine. So for example, when we're talking about fairness, when you're submitting work or accepting work, if you are a TA or GA, there is an expectation that that work is graded fairly, right, based on the academic merit of the work. It is a community responsibility to adhere to and uphold these values, and this includes taking action if it's believed that academic misconduct has occurred. So in graduate education, creating a culture of academic integrity is held to the highest standard. And this is just an excerpt from our policy here that highlights that. So it reads, in graduate education, it's essential that an environment exists where faculty and students have the utmost regard for academic integrity. Therefore, they're expected to and must pursue their academic and research initiatives in a manner that is consistent with the highest standards of ethical and scholarly practice. And this is understandable in that most of the people in this room here, you're going to be leaders in your field. So to be really leading the charge as well in terms of fostering a culture of academic integrity. So when academic integrity, there's a departure from academic integrity values, it can be considered as academic misconduct. And in our policy, academic misconduct is defined as any behavior that undermines a university's ability to evaluate fairly students' academic achievements, or it's any behavior that a student knew or reasonably ought to have known, for example, considering the information they've had or their educational background. It's any behavior that a student reasonably ought to have known could gain them or others unearned academic advantage or benefit. So here are some examples of academic misconduct. It's not an exhaustive list. And some of these types of academic misconduct might be really familiar to us here. For example, plagiarism, cheating. We've been learning about that, most of us, from early on in education. But some things that might sound a bit new perhaps are self-plagiarism. So resubmitting your work for a new assignment for grading when you haven't received the permission to do so. So, perhaps in your studies, you might come across similar assignments, or there might be a paper that you've written before that you want to revisit because you have this new lens you want to approach, critical lens you want to approach it with, right? And that could be very fair, but if you are doing that, you want to make sure that you're just checking in with your instructor so they can guide you on appropriate ways to do that, and as well how to appropriately cite if you're incorporating any of your past work. Okay. So if there is a finding of academic misconduct, and again, I hope that it doesn't come up for any of us here, but just so that everybody is informed for yourselves, but also, again, if you are, teaching students, if there's a finding of academic misconduct, there are related consequences and penalties. So these ones here are for graduate level penalties. And if you're interested in the undergraduate level ones, have a look at our policy 60. But if there's a finding, a disciplinary notation is placed on a student's internal academic record. So that's separate from a transcript, which perhaps can be shared externally. So if an employer or another program is asking for a transcript, this notation that we're speaking of, it doesn't show on that transcript, but it's for internal records and for administrative purposes to track findings of academic misconduct. Because if there's more than one finding, then the penalties can escalate. There are higher penalties for more severe infractions. And whether or not there's a finding of academic misconduct, a student can be assigned educational workshops or a quiz that's related to academic integrity to avoid that problem from happening again. Okay, so just a bit about the penalties that can be possible, again, so that you're informed, is if there's a finding, there's always a minimum penalty applied. And at the graduate level, it's a 0 on the piece of work. At the undergraduate level, it's a grade reduction that can be up to a 0, right? So that kind of shows the distinction between higher standards at the graduate level. If there's a finding of academic misconduct in a non-course based requirement, for example, maybe some research that you're doing or field work that you're doing, there's a disciplinary unsatisfactory notation that's placed on the permanent transcript that that is not removed. Okay, and then the types of penalties can range from a grade of F in the course and suspension. Again, for more severe cases, and I do have expulsion listed here, but I will say that that's quite rare and safe for the most egregious cases. So not meaning to intimidate anybody, but just so that you're aware, because having a finding of misconduct could be a disruption in your studies that might be avoided. And we'll kind of get into tips on how to do that in a bit. So, when we talk about academic misconduct, mentioning plagiarism is quite necessary because it's our main type of misconduct that we see. 70% of our cases are related to plagiarism. Okay, so plagiarism simply would be the use of work without proper attribution. And we've included the definition of plagiarism as per the policy here. And you'll notice that it's not just using the words of somebody else that's unattributed in your work, but it could be the ideas, the artistry, drawings, images of another person without proper citation. So tips to avoid plagiarism would be, enhancing those paraphrasing skills. especially as you're likely going to be engaging in a lot more of in-depth, complicated research, focusing on paraphrasing skills and developing those further will really be useful. And it's not always an obvious thing, right? It can get complicated sometimes, especially if you're dealing with a lot of sources. So really practicing that and focusing on developing those skills. And of course, if you need support, the Student Life and Learning Support team can help you out with that. They are writing consultants, and I believe you heard from them early before, and you're going to hear shout outs from other resources resource teams that have spoken to you earlier. So when you're writing, you want to provide context to the information that you include in your work. So for everything you read, identify the author's goal and purpose, and that can help you properly attribute your work and then use those sources appropriately as well. If you're ever unsure about paraphrasing, let's say you're incorporating a piece of information and you have tried to change the structure around, but it's still sounding quite similar, and perhaps you're in a time crunch, when in doubt, just quote. If you don't have the time to kind of further develop that section, for example. And if that's the case, you get some feedback saying your instructor would like you to see you develop further your narrative voice, then that's feedback to take on for the next assignment, right? But just when you're unsure, make sure to just quote. And sometimes when plagiarism happens, it can be unintentional, right? And we see oftentimes it's a result of maybe disorganized notes or not having, a strategy to approach your notes. So when you are writing your notes, always note the source and use quotation marks for words that are not your own. So for me, when I was doing my graduate studies, what I would do is just change it, put all the information that was copy and pasted from another article that I wanted to revisit later. I put that in a different color, so I knew for sure that I'm not going to be mistaking that for my own words, right? And then with your work, always consider practicing collegiality through proper referencing. So it's not just a formality, but it's that acknowledgement of the relationships between scholars and researchers, that it's a way to show respect and collegiality through proper referencing. So some additional TMU resources here, of course, your instructor, your teaching assistants, visit those office hours, make those connections. That's one of the most valuable things you can do, being part of such a rich environment, but also so that you can really clarify expectations and you can get accurate information and feedback versus perhaps asking a friend who might seem confident in the information they're passing on to you, but might lead you astray. So you want to go directly to the source of accurate information. Of course, using your TMU library, which you heard from earlier, so you can learn about those research strategies, making sure that you're doing it in the most efficient way and using best practices, and learning about different citation styles, because you might be using one that you haven't had as much practice in before. And I noted that they do have a live chat option as well, which is quite accessible. So, accessing those resources early, proactively is always more helpful, so you can understand what that might look like, what that support looks like, because it can get hard to access new resources when you're in that pinch already. Of course, student life and learning support, where there's graduate support consultants, weekly writing groups and workshops, and academic accommodation supports. If you think that you might require them, I'd really encourage you to have a look so that you're able to, fully participate in your classes. So another type of academic misconduct is contributing to academic misconduct. And I include this here because this is something that we do see in our office often, and it's often not intentional. Sometimes students find themselves in this situation having the best intentions of wanting to help a peer. So contributing to academic misconduct is offering, giving, sharing, or selling essays, questions, or answers to test exams or other assignments when it's not permitted to do so. So when you are supporting a peer, a colleague, you want to ask yourself, could this provide them with an unearned academic advantage over others with this help I'm giving them, right? And then oftentimes that answer will kind of help you draw the boundary of the type of support to give. You want to note to just don't share your work, your papers or your notes with others. You want to be protecting your own academic integrity. And this includes sharing your work on sites like Course Hero, because once that's uploaded, it is really hard to take down and you don't know what people will be doing with your work, and it could lead to plagiarism. When you're collaborating with others, working with the idea of providing guidance and assisting others towards the aim of learning. So if you are going to choose to be a TA or GA, thinking of it as, teaching, your colleagues versus perhaps, again, giving them aid that would lead to an unfair advantage over others in your class. When you're not sure of the answer, refer colleagues to appropriate university resources, and you've learned about plenty here today. And of course, you want to use social media carefully. So making sure no one's posting answers to assignments or exams in the group that you're in, because that can get a bit messy, right? If you've read information that you didn't mean to, and now you have additional assistance that you were not meant to have to achieve your work, right? So just being really careful with that and protecting yourself from academic misconduct. Now, talking about artificial intelligence, AI, and academic integrity, of course, that's on a lot of people's minds, but really it's nothing too different from how we would approach normal situations of academic integrity or misconduct. So unless otherwise explicitly stated, the use of AI tools is generally not allowed. And it could be really considered as a serious form of academic misconduct, because when you think about it, if you are using AI tools and not citing, then it could be the deliberate misrepresentation of your work, expression, and effort. So even if let's say you're using it at the brainstorming level, right? Perhaps part of the learning objectives was to be able to develop that skill. And now, that aspect of learning objective hasn't been achieved by the student, right? So just being careful in terms of your use of AI. And when you're not sure, it's always good to ask. And it's not a silly question to ask, right? Because right now, being wary of AI tools, we also want to be learning how to leverage them, right? And appropriately use them, play around with them, explore with them. So it's not a silly question to be asking. To kind of deter the use of AI in an appropriate way would be just understanding that generative AI is not all-knowing. It can make up information, and that's called hallucination. So sometimes we've seen, for example, papers being submitted with quotes that are not from the text, or mentioning characters from a story that don't exist, so that can really get someone into trouble, right? So and lead to penalties that could have well been avoided. So just being aware of that as well. And a bit of a caution here is if a student is using auto translation tools like Google Translate. Yes, it could be a great accommodation, but it can also be considered problematic. So if you are using those tools, just be sure to connect with your instructor to learn about the best practices of using them. And just an example of perhaps when it could cross the boundary into academic misconduct is perhaps writing a whole passage in one language and then translating it fully into another without any revision, because those words you're submitting are then no longer your own, right? So just the main idea here would be, if you're unsure, just speak with your instructors. So tips on avoiding unauthorized use of AI. Some examples of the tools that can be considered as giving an unearned academic advantage and to look out for is Google Translate, like I mentioned, ChatGPT, Grammarly. That's a surprising one for a lot of students. Of course, if it's functioning as a proofreading tool, that could be really helpful, but it also has some aspects of it that could be quite problematic. So for example, it has a paraphrasing tool there that completely rewrites your work or suggests full sentence like changes. It also has a support where, still somebody will completely revise your work for you or provide you with answers to assignments, right? So that's definitely can be problematic. So you just want to be very careful with using that, and Quillbot as well, which can write write papers for you. So these are all software that a lot of people are aware of, but they market themselves as, you know, educational resources. So just making sure that you're instead making use of the great university resources we have here. Things to keep in mind is expectation and rules can change from class to class, and particularly with the use of AI tools. One instructor might really encourage you to use it. Another one might say, you know, that interferes with my learning objectives. So stay away from that for these assignments. You want to ask direct and specific questions about what constitutes appropriate use. And then when you're in doubt, let's say that you're working on assignment, last minute it happens, you're not sure if you're allowed to use it or not, always err on the side of caution and don't use it. And then you can have a conversation with your instructor after that. Okay, so those are the tips I've brought forward today. But of course, if you have questions, especially perhaps even in your own teaching and how you might promote academic integrity in your classrooms, don't hesitate to reach out to us. You can reach out to us by email, which I have posted there. You can book a drop-in meeting with us, and this is available to students, faculty, to speak with an academic integrity specialist. And if you're looking for ways to get involved, we are also hiring or recruiting rather for our academic integrity council. So a panel of faculty and students that help to make decisions on academic integrity issues at the higher level. So those escalated penalties we talked about, to see if whether or not those penalties are appropriate, and to support with decision making for appeals. So a great way to get involved and make some connections. If you're interested, give us a shout at our email. Okay, so that's about it. And thank you so much for your time. Let me stop sharing my screen here.
Well, thank you very much, Shannon. That's very informative. And again, if you share the slides with us, we'll share them with everybody, and then we can review everything you mentioned there. Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Who's next? We have the Catalyst coming up next. Stacy Berquist as grant facilitator, scholarly research and creative activities. Stacy, the floor is all yours.
Hi, thanks, Daniel. Hi, everybody. My name is Stacy. I'll just be giving a brief overview of some of the services that are offered by the Catalyst that might help you as you're going through your studies. I will also share my screen with a couple of slides. Just information. Yep. Okay. Okay, so okay, anyway. Right, so my name is Stacy Berquist. I work with the Catalyst as a grant specialist for the Creative School. That's my email address and my office there. And those contacts are both relevant to you because I am available as a support for grad students and faculty with basically anything you might require to do with funding as you're working through your graduate studies. So if you are looking for funding and you don't know where to start, if you need assistance as you're preparing an application, if you'd just like to know more about what might be out there for you, that's kind of what I'm here for. So we kind of offer a wide range of services around this at the Catalyst. I run workshops, writing groups, and you might also see me in some class visits in September. There's actually going to be a writing group around the Canada Graduate Scholarship, the master's level, which will be opening in September. And that'll kind of be a group for if you're looking to put together an application for that federal grant. We'll be kind of working through what's involved and providing some time to work on that and get feedback. I also offer I also offer one-on-one appointments. So you are free to book me, usually Wednesday mornings, but that's flexible timing, for either virtual or in-person meetings. So if you have specific questions or things you're trying to, put together for some type of funding, then feel free to book me. I'm also available for kind of individual sessions. So if you'd like to kind of book some ongoing time on a weekly or bi-weekly basis to work with me on something, then I'm here for that. I also have drop-in hours on Thursdays from 10 till 2, and that's no appointment necessary. So if you just happen to be on campus and you're around and you want to ask about something, then you can always come and see me. I'm also available for draft review and editing of grant applications. So if you're putting one together and you'd like an outside look at something, another pair of eyes or some feedback around if you're meeting the requirements of the grant that you're applying for, you can share a document with me and I'm happy to give you written feedback on that. So that's sort of, I'm kind of one of the, I'm sort of one of the columns of support at the Catalyst that is available for graduate students that you might find yourself looking for, given how scarce money can be. But the Catalyst is also a space in the Rogers Communications Center on the second floor, which is open to graduate students. There's a lounge, there's workspace, there's a little kitchenette, there's bookable meeting rooms. So it is also a space that we hope graduate students will use to come and connect. There are often events being hosted there around research being done by faculty, which is a great place to connect or to try to network and meet people in the faculty and learn about what's going on that you might be interested in. It's also, a good place to connect with people you might have shared work interest with if you're looking to maybe be an RA on a project. Those are good places to connect as well. That was really about all I had. I just wanted to give a short rundown of what the Catalyst is and what my primary role there is. I can answer any questions if there are any. But otherwise, those are my details, and you're free to reach out anytime with any type of question you might have about funding or support for your research.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Stacy. I looking for any questions in the chat. I don't see any. Going once, going twice. Gone. There we go. Thank you very much, Stacy. And just for everyone, yes, the Catalyst is a great space. Make sure you visit it. Our offices actually, but everything's on the RCC building, Rogers Communication Center, which is 80 Gould Street. Catalyst on the second floor. And the third floor, we have the dean's office, and you have also our offices for the grad studies. So you'll definitely be around this building a lot. So make sure you take a look at the Catalyst, visit, say hello, drop by. It's a great space for you guys to use. So take advantage of it. And it's only open to grad students and research and faculty. So it's not for everyone. So just for you guys. Make sure you take advantage of that. Okay. All right. With that in mind, now we go on to the Student Success Center, which is Marie Cross, Director of Academic Planning and Student Affairs, is here to talk about a little bit about that. And Marie, floor is all yours. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. What a marathon of a day and session you are all having. Congratulations, you're almost there. I know it's a lot of information, so I am not going to take up too much of your time. I just wanted to say hello. As Danielle said, I am the Director of Academic Planning and Student Affairs, so I help support academic initiatives, but you, all of you, I'm really here, and I'm going to pop in my name and email address in that chat if there's anything you ever need. I know I'm here to talk about the Student Success Center, which is part of my portfolio. It is a space on the third floor of the RCC, right next to or just down the hall from the graduate advisors. And we are here to support you in everything and anything. So we have a manager of student affairs and student development. So if you're looking to get involved or find ways to initiate some new activities, Leanne Newman is an amazing resource. We also have an EDI coordinator in that space if there are any EDI, equity, diversity, inclusion topics, things you want to discuss, challenges you're having, trying to find your space and way through the university she would be more than happy to help you, and that's Frishta. We also have our counselors in that space. So they are connected to our central counseling services. So connecting through central services will then help you get connected to a counselor. I think you've already heard about that. If not, we can definitely share some more details with you. We've also have a career team who is linked to our central services. So if you are looking for help, guidance, maybe experiencing like that touch of imposter syndrome that, you know, likes to slip in and out of our lives every once in a while, that team is really great, and you can make an appointment with Jen Bradley, who will again connect you. The entire point of the Student Success Center is really to help navigate and be a first stop shop to actually get you navigated through the university. Obviously, you have your advisors. They're always going to be your first line of humans. They are your people. They are going to be the ones that you trust the most. And when it comes to your academic careers, that is where you should go. But if you're just not sure where else to turn, that is another really great resource. I also want to tell you, and this is a surprise to Daniel, but one of the other things and initiatives that is under my portfolio is exhibition spaces. We are all about showcasing your creative work and activities. So I actually help support managing the creative window on Yonge Street. This is a window that we have part of the SLC on Yonge Street. You've probably walked by it. Right now it's got like a boring development sign in there, but typically it's animated with student work. And I'm always looking for activities, things to put in there. We typically do a call, so look out for it. But if you're interested and you've got some ideas, I'm definitely interested in talking to you about it. The other space that we launched last year and was hugely successful was the Assembly Gallery. I can put in a link for that, I think, somewhere. Let me find it. The Assembly Gallery is located in the Image Arts building on the main floor. It is a DIY exhibition space. So it is rough, it is not polished, it is not the type of like image center, which is right next door. It is meant to be a place where you can sandbox and create something, display something. So if you are interested in having an exhibition or even just getting involved with more curatorial work, you can reach out to me or the lead curator in the space, which is Kathleen Peary Adams. She is our champion for it this upcoming term or these upcoming terms. But I'm always there to offer support and anything else you all need. Would you happen to have examples of work that you have been exhibited on that website? There just happen to be a couple for the Assembly Gallery. And then in terms of the window, I can find the link. I'll stick around. I'll add a link so that you can see some examples. And there's also the call. But if you need anything else, yeah, I'm here for questions. So I'll just stick around for a bit and pop that into the chat as well. Daniel, did I miss anything? Is there anything else you want me to chat about?
Oh, I think that's fantastic. Thank you very much, Marie. That's amazing.
Really, truly welcome. We're so excited you're all here. I can't wait to see what you do with everything that we have to offer.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay, and next we have the Innovation Studio. So we have David Gondlin here, Acting Director, Creative School Innovation Studio. David.
Hello. Hi. It is great to see so many of you here. That's really nice. Hi. Also, you have had far too much info, haven't you? You're not going to remember any of this. Don't worry. The thing is, I think it's like these little presentations, they flag up the fact that a thing exists. And that's all you need to remember. And then, you know, when the time comes for you to need that thing, hopefully you remember that that thing exists and you can go and find it. I'm David Gauntlet. I'm a Canada Research Chair in the Creative School, and I'm a lot to do with the practice-based PhD program that we have here. And I really love that. And that's exciting. So I'm always available for talking about that, if that's the thing you might have in your mind. But I'm here to talk about the Innovation Studio, so I'm going to do screen share on that, hopefully. Yes, by choosing the correct window. Nobody presses the slideshow button, and maybe there's a reason for that. I'm about to find out if there's a reason for that. If everything goes horribly wrong, somebody shout, okay? There's the slideshow button. That hasn't destroyed your computer, has it? You can still see a thing. You can still see it. Can't see it. Okay, I'll assume you can see a thing. So the Creative School has a number of hubs, and you've probably heard about all of the other ones by now, because I think I'm about last. But this is the Innovation Studio, which is the Creative School's place for entrepreneurship, startups, incubating new enterprises. We made a new statement of what we're about recently, so I want to say this, so that I'm going to say this. It's our intersection of creative experimentation, strategy, and play. It's not just a building. It's easy to think of it as a physical space. It is a physical space on 110 Bond, just down from Balzac's. And one of the spaces in our space is HQ, which you can see in that slightly annoying animated GIF right there. But it's a place for diverse happenings, creative mishaps, and collective learning. We do lots of stuff together, and it's very important to us. This is the most important bit. It's very important to us that a broad spread of people can see themselves as creators and innovators and entrepreneurs and step into the space and do that. So there's a certain stereotype that you may or may not have in your mind about what an entrepreneur kind of person might look like. But we don't want to foster any of those stereotypes. We want it to be very inclusive for everybody. And that's one of our main things. It's part of the zone learning ecosystem that we have at TMU. You might have heard about zone learning. It's a place where people can build their own businesses and enterprises, not necessarily profit making. It can be a charitable NGO type enterprise as well. And we love those as well. In the studio, we have 3 zones. They are the design fabrication zone, the fashion zone, and the transmedia zone. Within the transmedia zone, there's a thing called the music den, which is like another zone, but it's to do with music. I'm going to tell you about all of them. We have programs, we have spaces, but I'm going to move on quickly. The design fabrication zone is primarily to do with people building physical stuff, technologies, prototypes, things. And if you've got ideas like that, there's some areas of incubation there. I'm just going to go quickly past it all. But if you're attracted to one of these things, take note and loop back to us later on, okay? There's the fashion zone. Obviously, that's going to be of interest to people to do with fashion. There's a number of very exciting businesses that have been fostered by the fashion zone. And there's some examples there. It's about fashion and people in the fashion space. So it doesn't just mean like designing clothes. It may mean all kinds of other activities that take place in the fashion space. And there's the transmedia zone, which is the one that's more about screen-based and audio storytelling, straightforward media stuff. It is called the transmedia zone, so people are often quite rightly excited to see that we've set up a transmedia, but no, it doesn't mean that. It just means interdisciplinary. The old trans meaning, not the exciting new trans. There's some examples of that. Hopefully, no, it's not letting me click. There we go. That's those. And we have the music den, which is for fostering, again, innovation in the music space, which mostly doesn't mean somebody who wants to make a record, as it were. It's for people wanting to do innovative things in the music space to support the sharing or distribution of music, things like that. Selling music these days, how does that ever work? And so on. Okay, there's some examples of that. And we have a range of facilities that you can make use of. Again, just take note of the fact that this exists, and then you can come and visit us later. And we're part of what we like to call the innovation ecosystem, which includes zone learning itself, the design and technology lab that you heard about earlier, and also the Catalyst. We all fit together as different parts of the same kind of whole exciting enterprise that the Creative School is trying to do, to give you skills and resources and ideas and knowledge to be able to do the kinds of things that you want to do. So I'm going to stop sharing screen, and you may or may not have questions for me about that. But Google TMU Innovation Studio if you want to see more info about that.
Excellent. Thank you very much, David. Thank you. Yes, and again, the link's also on the website, so make sure you visit, make sure you take a look once you're on campus, visit this space and take a look, see what's out there. It's really, really impressive, all the stuff that happens and comes out of there. So make sure you take a look. Thank you again. Okay. So the next presenter we have is Lachelle Saunders from International Student Support, Life and Learning Support area. So, Lachelle, if you're here, go ahead. The floor is all yours. Feel free to share. Perfect. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. So hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to see so many faces today and just to meet you all in the session. As we go along, I'll make sure to keep it short and sweet for everyone since I know a lot of information was given today. But don't worry, I'll also provide you with a copy of the slides so that you have all the information to review on your own time. So welcome again. My name is Lachelle. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm one of the international student advisors within International Student Support. And within my portfolio, I support students like yourselves from the Yates School of Graduate Studies, but I also support students from the Chang School of Continuing Education, and as well as inbound exchange students. So today I wanted to give you a brief overview of our mission and services that we provide at International Student Support. So essentially, we work to foster a sense of belonging and community for all of our students, those who are new to Canada, as well as those who are seeking global experiences on campus. So there will be plenty of opportunities for students from across the globe to connect, but also for domestic students to immerse themselves in the diversity that exists here within TMU and the wider Canadian culture. With that being said, here I provided a snapshot of some of the supports that we provide. So of course, there's the immigration support where students can connect with an advisor such as myself. However, the programming and services that we provide also fall under cultural and social support. So if you follow us on our social media at ISS_TMU or on the Connect RU platform, you'd be able to see some of the events that we have coming up this fall. We also provide support in the area of the World University Service of Canada, some financial support to students, graduate student support, which we'll talk a little bit more about in a second, all the way down to providing UHIP, which is the University Health Insurance Plan. So these are all the different supports that we offer through our office that you can connect with us to learn more about. So since I mentioned before the topic of graduate student support, this is a portfolio that I actually oversee. And so here we aim to create a sense of community and opportunity for graduate international students to connect with each other. And we accomplish this through facilitated intercultural learning through academic and career-related resources. So if you're looking to learn more about what supports what resources can support your journey on campus, or how we can spearhead your professional development, it'd be a great idea for you to stay tuned because we do have events such as our Job Search Club launching this fall. We have other events that connect you to some community partners and help you learn and explore Toronto a bit more, such as learning about the Toronto Public Library or visiting Evergreen, as well as other student socials for you to really engage and connect with our wonderful community. Lastly, I want to leave you on a note regarding our welcome appointments. So if you haven't already, please do attend your welcome appointments. They're designed to get to know you and to support your transition at Toronto Metropolitan University, as well as within Canada. These meetings are held hybrid, so they can be online or in person. You'll be in groups of up to 3, so you'll get to meet other students and you'll be able to learn about some transitional pieces, but also be able to ask any of your burning questions one-to-one or small group with an advisor like myself. If you haven't already, I'll provide you with the links and details on how to book the welcome appointment, as well as a booking guideline for any additional support that you might need. These appointments run all the way through to the beginning of October, so there's still plenty of time. With that being said, I'm very excited to welcome you all for the fall. We do have a wonderful spread of orientation events that are coming up next week, so I just wanted to highlight a few for you. So we do have our Let's Talk orientation grad session being held on Monday at 4 p.m. This is where you'll be able to learn more in-depth information about some of the immigration specific details that may appeal to you or may relate. Then we have, of course, our annual welcome party. We have our Life in Canada session, so you'll get to learn more about dressing to impress for the winter, learning about some things to keep in mind as you go through the seasonal transitions, and our event From Toronto with Love, where you'll be able to just connect in a really chill environment with some other students in the community, sharing and sort of crafting different items that you can keep as keepsakes for the start of your journey or send back home to your loved ones. So We look forward to seeing you there. And if you have any further, if you have any further questions beyond our session today, feel free to email us at issask@torontomu.ca, or again, connect with us on our socials. Thank you so much for having me. And I'll open the floor if there are any questions right now that I may be able to answer. No, doesn't look so. All right, perfect. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Michelle. Thank you for all the information. And again, we'll add it to the website once we have the slides, and then everybody can check it out if you need to. Again, very important to, especially if you're an international student, make sure you reach out, because I'm sure there's a lot of questions and a lot of new things that international student support can help you with. So don't be shy, just reach out, and you know, it's the easiest way to do. Okay. Thank you, Michelle, again. All right, guys. Thank you very much for I guess 2.5 hours so far of information. 2.5 hours, well, 2 hours 33 minutes to be precise. Thank you very much, everyone. This is normally just a space right now for questions. If you have any specific questions, I'm happy to answer some of them for you, as many as I can. So feel free to either type them in the chat, or if you want to just raise your hand and unmute and ask them. This is the time to do that. Before we do that, just take a second, breathe, stretch it all out, you know, get that energy back up. We've been staring at a screen for an hour and a bit, so let's just, you know, shake it off, and then if you have any questions, by all means, please let us know. In the meantime, while you think of one, I want to sort of mention, in the last week or two, we've been working on course enrollment. We've been working on getting you matriculated into the programs, been working on all that stuff to get you started. So there's been a lot of sort of deadlines for the last couple of weeks. So you might see a little delay in some of our responses and emails, just because we're making sure that you're enrolled first, make sure you're matriculated, make sure you're in the system, and then we can start answering some of those questions about, you know, what my courses are and where can I be, or where they're going to be, schedules, all that kind of stuff. Again, the trigger point really is matriculation. So until that happens, we really can do a lot of stuff. So that's why we have to do that first. So this is a little overall general clarification, so you understand a little bit of the process behind the scenes. Okay, I see a hand. Francisca, go right ahead, unmute yourself and ask the question.
Hi there, can you hear me all right?
Yes, I can hear.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, my question was on TA and GA positions. How would we go about finding those? And this one's specific to me. Would I be able to apply to positions that are not necessarily in the creative, I forget exactly what the department is called, but like, for example, I studied history in my undergraduate, so would I be able to apply for such TA positions?
Quick answer is yes. Most of the positions we posted online, torontomu.ca/careers. We'll post that in the chat in a sec. But basically, you just go online, see what positions are available. Basically, the way TA and GA positions work is it will either be a graduate department needing a TAGA or an undergraduate department needing a TAGA. Obviously, there's more undergraduate courses, and so you guys as graduate students, you in a sense have the advantage because you've already gone through undergrad, and like Francisca, like you said, you already have experience with history or English or science or any other things, and so you can actually apply to any any TA or GA position, or even a research assistant position that you feel your background is suitable for, simply by going online and applying and submitting your application. From there, basically what happens is the department posting that position will contact the instructor who's teaching that course and say, here's the 5, 10, 20, 300 applications, depending on the course, right? And then they'll basically contact you, figure out who gets the position. So it's really, in a sense, almost like applying to a regular job if you go that direction, because it's just submitting your resume, submitting what you've done, and making sure you're a match for that class. That's sort of one way. Other ways maybe your program or the program you're going to as a graduate student may already have some positions set aside for those students, which is, again, same idea. They may send you a Google form or some sort of request for information, so that we know who's interested in applying. And same thing, send your resume, the professors will review, and then from there you'll get contacted and let you know about the application. So that is the overall process. And again, we'll put the link on the chat, so you have it, but it's torontomu.ca/careers. and then there's a section for students, and under that section subtitle you'll see TAGA positions, research assistant position, career boost, or what used to be work study positions, etc. So they're all in there. Feel free to check them out, and check them out often because they change. So sometimes at the beginning of the term you'll see a whole bunch, then it'll kind of die out a little bit halfway through, but then they'll put a whole bunch more at the end of the term just before exams and grading and stuff. So just keep checking over and over. You'll see more positions in there. Excellent.
Thank you so much.
Of course. Matt, go right ahead. Do you have a question?
Hello. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
So I think this might be specific to my program too, but I have a block in my schedule, I guess everyone does, in the journalism program that says it's on Thursday and Friday. It says you will have to choose one section. I'm just wondering if this is going to happen soon, or we're going to find out about this soon, or how that works, if you know by any chance.
Yeah, and most of those things for everybody for the courses, when you go to your program specific orientations, we'll go a little bit over the curriculum and just kind of like random blocks, or sometimes you have to choose between two sections and stuff like that. Normally when one course is split into two sections, it has to do with the size, right? So for example, a particular course may require a little more of a hands-on approach with the instructor, so it has a cap of maybe 10 people, right? But if your program has 20, then we have to split it into two sections. Depending on the course, the instructor may be the same, it's just two different sections, so they can dedicate the time to that particular subject area that the course is covering. And then that usually means that then you can take section 1 or section 2, depending on the other schedule. So for example, some programs may have an elective running at the same time, different electives running at the same time as that section. And so if you want to take elective A, you can take the section that is on a different day. If you want to take elective B, then you take, again, the other section. So it's a little bit just to make sure that we allow for everybody's schedule to sort of match with the electives they need, as well as the requirements of the course and the specifics of what they're teaching in that course, to allow for smaller classes, basically. So in your particular case, Matt, again, you will definitely talk about it on the journalism information session, or orientation session, sorry. But if I know exactly which course you're talking about, it's basically just picking one. I think it's a Thursday or a Friday, big one that works best based on the other electives that you choose.
Okay, great, thank you.
All right, of course. I see there was a question on the chat. Give me 1 sec. I think I missed it. 1 second here. Where do I find TA jobs? We answered that one. That's good. What else we have here? Can the university help me screen a film at Doc Now as a first-year master's student? Great question. So for those of you know, so assuming you I can say your name, Chania, I think it is. So there's a Doc Media. So the Doc Media program has a festival of documentary films at the end of the second year of the program. So this is the Doc Now Festival, and this is where basically the graduating class showcases their work. So this is part of the but it's basically part of their thesis in a sense, right? So because it's a Master of Fine Arts, one of the requirements for an MFA is to showcase your work publicly as well as you complete your thesis. So the Doc Now Festival is the way they can do that. So for first year students, it's not really open for showcasing, because it's strictly for second year students in the Doc Media program. However, there are, and this is just a matter of talking to your classmates and to your instructors when you get into the program, there's a lot of opportunities in terms of volunteering and participating in the festival as well, because it is a student-run festival, so there's always a lot of overlap that you can approach them and say, hey, I want to be part of the festival. Then you know how to work with them and so on, and that will gives you a step ahead basically when you actually have to showcase your film in second year when you finish your thesis. On top of that, as a graduate student, you'll have access to a whole bunch of other areas in the creative school. As Marie mentioned earlier, we have the assembly gallery, but then we also have 2 or 3 galleries in the Image Arts building. We have studio spaces and lecture halls in the Reuters Communication Center, as well as other parts of the university. So you can also organize independent screenings of your work if you want. You can organize first year screenings of your work. Is really all it takes is a little bit of initiative to jump in, see what you want to do, approach either an instructor, your supervisor slash advisor, or one of us here in the program administrator team, and we can help you and sort of figure out how you want to organize that. And people have done it. We've had fashion students in first year organize a magazine 1 year, actually ran for 3 years, and then they graduated and it stopped there. But basically, they started a magazine just randomly. They wanted to do it together. They 2, 3, or 4 people got together and they started working with that. There's also some funding for that kind of stuff that the university offers. I think they call it SIF funding, Student Initiatives funding, which basically is any kind of project that you are kind of organize and it will be beneficial to the student community, and then the university will help you fund part of it to be able to organize that, which is a great little thing if you're looking into like showcasing films or showcasing your work, opening a gallery exhibition, organizing those kinds of things. But again, if you're not sure how to move along, just let us know and we are happy to point you in the right direction. Hopefully that answers that question. There was a question about do you need to currently hold a GA position to be eligible for the GTDP course that they mentioned earlier today at the Center of Excellence in Learning and Teaching? I don't believe you do. We just reach out to them directly and say, hey, I'm interested in the course, and apply for it, and then go from there. That's perfectly fine. When will we know our confirmed course enrollment by? We'll send almost everybody's enrolled now. So you can probably take a look at my.torontomu.ca, and that's where you'll take a look at your schedule. However, once everything's fully finalized, we'll send you an email to confirm that everything is done, and for you to take a look and then let us know if anything's missing or off, or you're missing a course or something like that. So we're still working on enrollment just because it's a long, like I mentioned, a long process, but we will send you an email once everything is completed. We'll say it publicly. I'm hoping for it to be done this week, but we'll let you know via email for sure. All right. Is there any other questions I want to speak while I take a look at the chat? Anybody else? Some question here. Do I need to apply for a one card if I am coming straight from undergrad program at TMU? So if you're coming from the university, so your undergrad was here at the university in TMU, you don't need a new card. It's usually your online identity as well as your student ID will be the same, so you can basically use the same card as you had an undergrad. You may make sure double check that all your access is still active, so that'll be your My Service Hub, which is where you'll take a look at your courses and stuff like that. Make sure your email's still there, and other than that, you should be good to go and you should be fine. And there we go.
Daniel, sorry,
yeah,
there was a question from Marina about accessing or downloading Microsoft Suite from her TMU account.
Right. Okay. So yeah. So basically, what happens is the university will offer all students what's called Microsoft 365, I think it's called, which is basically just like a version of Word and Excel and all the beautiful tools they have. It's traditionally, because we changed our name and our email address and all that kind of stuff. Traditionally, you basically just log in using your address and let's see an email address, and that would magically work and it'll be perfect. Right now, because of the transition of name, transition of email address and the servers, the IT department is still working on setting up all those transitions. So I would expect that it will be working by September. So once you are actually starting in the program, there's also right now we're in that kind of funny period where all of our students are sort of finishing within the next 2 weeks, and everybody's starting in the week of September. So there's a little bit of that kind of gray area where some of these transition things happen. So we just wait until September for you to be able to access Microsoft. I mean, just check online and you should be able to. If you already have access to your Gmail account, or sorry, your Toronto MU account, which is it's similar to Gmail, it's just the branded version for the university. You can also, in the meantime, access Google Docs or Google Sheets, which is again the equivalent of that, if you need it for now. But I do expect them to be updated in September. I will put the link on the website where you can check access and how to download it on the chat in a second, and that hopefully will be updated with the new instructions if they change the process to log in. But for now, I will wait until at least the first week of classes, which is September 4th, I want to say, the week of September 4th. So make sure you take a look there at that point. David then is asking, is there a way to provide support for second language learners as a job or volunteer? Short answer is yes. There's lots of opportunities in the university. The thing, the trick part is just basically figure out what area specifically you're looking for. So I think it could be, if you're looking for a job, take a look at the careers page and just go through all the options there, see what you qualify for. If you are looking more of a volunteer basis, there's a lot of student groups. There's a lot of student, promoted activities. There's a lot of the try mentoring or mentorship programs that they mentioned earlier today. That's probably the easiest ways to sort of participate. Stone Learning might be another one, because Stone Learning is a great, because it's incubators, you can participate as someone with an idea or someone with a skill. So if you have a skill maybe from your background and you want to just volunteer your time and help these companies get started and get to meet people and get to practice and those things, Stone Learning will be another really good spot to visit and take a look, see if that interests you. And like they mentioned earlier, there's about 10 different zones. Here in our faculty, we have Transmedia Zone, the music den, fashion zone, and one more which escapes me right now. But any of those will basically, will basically take people as students and to participants to help out with their projects. So for sure, there's a good ways to practice as a second language. Just you get to talk to people, you get to practice, and there's also the Student and Life Learning Support Center has the English support workshops as well that they were also mentioned earlier today, which again we'll post on the website, and that will be under the Student Life and Learning Support link on the site. So hopefully that answers the question, David. Let me see, am I missing anybody there? So this question about from Sarah, what should I do for my internship because it's mandatory in my program? Will I get support to find a position? Depending, I'm not sure which program you're referring to, Sarah, but generally speaking, we'll have an instructor that is attached to the internship, which basically means they'll help you either find an internship, or they'll help you work on your resume to apply for an internship, or they'll help you just guide you through the process of the internship. So it's not necessarily that we, put you in a place and just push you and then go get an internship. We also don't necessarily go and find it for you. So somewhere in between, where you'll have to do a little bit of the work and research as to what is a good, suitable internship for what you're researching, what you're working on. And then at the same time, we'll have an instructor or a faculty member to help you reach out to the institutions, or to help you if you have questions about how to approach them, or to help you with resume, presentation letters, any of those things as well. There's just a combination of both of those two things. Again, and depending on which program you're in, there'll be different timing. Some programs will offer the internship pretty much any semester. Some of them are very specific and say the internship has to happen in the spring, summer, some of them in the fall, some in the winter. So I would just wait until the program specific orientation. Feel free to ask us that question again when we are there, so that we can be more specific about what you're looking for in the internship, and more of a timeline guidelines, or at least a timeline of to when things are happening. Hopefully that answers your question, Sarah. For media production, I was curious as to if there would happen to be insight on when the next mandatory meeting would be / program orientation. Yes, it is this Thursday, I believe, for the media production, if I remember correctly. Joni, do you mind just checking that, checking my memory on that, please? But I believe it is this Thursday. And it's in the afternoon. I believe it's like 2 to 4. And like I'm just doing it all the top of my head. So excellent. Thank you, Michael. Perfect. What else here? Is there any way? There's a question about Nilufar, your question about international students and visas. Definitely contact the International Student Services Department. One thing that we're happy to help you with anything and everything we can, but in terms of visas or any sort of external things like that, us as the program administrator team, we're actually legally not allowed to give you advice in that kind of stuff because it's a very specific area. So definitely reach out to the International Student Support team and book an appointment with them, and they'll be able to help you at least answer some of the questions that you may be having with visas. Again, visas and study permits, unfortunately, we can point you in one direction, but we can't really advise on that just because you basically need to take a government course and we don't have that, so that's why. But their international support team has that, so reach out to them and hopefully they can help you out. Vanessa has a question. If our specific program requires more than one elective courses, do we have to enroll in our elective courses on our own student account, or is it automatically enrolled for us as our required courses? Okay. So basically the enrollment process in grad studies is a little bit different than undergrad. For most of our programs here at the Creative School, we will enroll you in your courses. Generally speaking, the required mandatory courses will just put you in there and you don't have to worry about it. When it comes to electives, we'll usually send a Google form or some sort of email with like, hey, these are the electives that are available this semester. Let us know which one you want to enroll. And then once you let us know, then we'll do the enrollment process and add you to the system that way. So which is basically what we're doing this week, last week, and the following 2 weeks probably. We have until the first, but actually the second week of September to enroll everybody in their courses. So there's still some time, so no need to panic or anything like that. But do keep an eye out on your email for course selection Google form, course selection emails, and then just let us know. We also have, and I think an email went out on, I want to say Thursday, if not Friday, about the graduate electives here at the Creative School, which is basically a website we have, and we can put that link in the chat in a second. But basically that website will indicate what electives are offered this term, and then we'll update that for the winter, and we'll update that for the following spring and summer. Now, a lot of those courses are basically open to any Creative School students. So if you have if you're curious about a particular course that is not in your current program, but it will maybe benefit your research, you are able to take those courses as well. And then the process to enroll is all listed on the website, but basically is you look at the course, figure out, make sure it matches your schedule, make sure that is the one you want. All the course descriptions and everything's available on the site. And then you have to get permission from your supervisor/advisor and your program director to use that course for credit. You basically get that permission by signing a form. It's called the course substitution form. Once you get that form, you go back to the website. It's another just basically online, submit the form to us, let us know which course you want, and then we'll enroll you in the course as long as there's space available on that. So it's a pretty straightforward process, but it just opens up the range of electives you have access to, because now it's any program in the Creative School usually offers some courses. If they have electives, they offer some courses to anybody in the Creative School, which is a great thing. So take a look at that. And if you see on a course outside of the faculty and you're interested in taking it the same way, it'd be the same process, just you need to get permission and all that kind of stuff. But send us an email to the program email address and we can guide you who you need to get permission from, because for external courses outside of a faculty, we'll need to get permission from supervisor, advisor, and program director via the form that I mentioned, course substitution form. But also you'll need to get permission from the teaching department just to make sure there's space there. So reach out to us with the course code and title, and we can let you know who to contact. So you can reach out to them and see if there's space available that you can take that course. Okay. So it's the question, Michael, for TAG applications, when approximately should we hear back if we are selected for an interview based on TAGA's interviews? Short answer, I don't know. This one does depend on the department that's offering the position. So it's not all the positions are offered by a specific school. So it might be an undergraduate school, it might be a graduate school. We can only see the ones that are offering grad in the grad program. So those ones that I could tell you will, it'll be this date or that date. If it's offered on undergrad, then the best way to find out is after your application, send a note to the instructor listed on the posting or the department listed on the posting. So you send a quick note, say, hey, how's it going? I just wanted to follow up submit my application for XY course for the TAGA position. I just want you to let me know if you know when we will hear back about it. I will let you know though, a lot of the hiring happens depending on the course, but a lot of the hiring happens at the beginning of the term. So within the next 3-4 weeks, depending on the course. Some of the TAA positions are more for grading and marking. So that could happen later in the semester, for example. Some of them are more about from the very first class, you have to be there supporting the students. So those ones you'll probably hear within the next 2 weeks because the class is beginning at 3, right? So other than that, the deadlines do vary a little bit. So just reach out. That's probably the easiest way. It also reminds them your name so they know you are interested. A little tip there. Let's see what else we have here. Okay, so for so we're looking at elective options for future dates for courses. So right now, the only thing we have, unfortunately, is the fall confirmed. We don't have winter confirmed yet because we're still working on determining which electives every department needs to run, as well as who's going to teach them. So getting instructors for them. So those ones we'll try to update you more probably halfway through the fall term, and then maybe late October, early November, once we have a more finalized list of electives. And then what we'll do is we'll try to update that same website with the graduate electives that I mentioned before. We'll update that so you can just go in there and it will say, instead of fall 23, it'll say winter 24, and then you'll see what electives are running there. And then for the electives that are specific for just your department or your program, then those ones will again send you a list of those for you to select which ones you want for the winter term. And that will happen later on probably in November or so. All right, here we go. So that's, all right, here's another question from Daniel, from a Daniel to a Daniel. Here we go. Are we able to substitute an elective from a different department for the 3 elective credits? For example, particular course CC 8320 swapped for DM 8215. So you will have to, for specific swaps like that, there are ways to take other electives in different departments for our current, for your current department elective, but it will depend on the elective. So we'll have to basically see the credits, which credits are, which courses work, how many credits, and then that will determine if we can fully substitute or if we have to do 2 courses to substitute 1 or vice versa, right? So for example, something that happens quite often is some people taking courses in the MBA program, their courses are half credits. So for anybody wanting to take a course in the MBA, they'll have to take 2 courses to substitute 1 course on of the creative school if it's a 1 credit course, or 4 courses if it's a 2 credit course. So that's the kind of sort of thing we'll have to take a look at. When you look at, when you talk to your supervisor, advisor / program director, just mention the course, let them know which courses they are, and they'll either know right away, or they'll probably point it to one of our email addresses in your program, because then we'll have to take a look and see what the courses are worth. If you look at the calendar, so when you go into that graduate study electives website, if you look at the calendar description of the courses, it will say right beside it how many credits it's worth. So it'll be CC 8320, 1 credit. Great. And then you compare now the other course that you're looking for, the EMA 215, let's say, it's worth 1 credit. If they're both 1 credit, we can probably just substitute them equally, and that's easy to do. If there were different number of credits, that's what we have to take a look and go from there. Send us a note if you can figure it out, an email, and we can look at your case specifically. Thank you. So I already answered Dines about how to enroll in the electives and how to look at that, making sure I don't miss anything here. And if there's anything that I'm missing in the chat that I haven't reached you and you want to sort of speak up, by all means, go for it. Just give us just raise your hand or just unmute, and I'm happy to answer. It's taking a little bit to read through everything there, sorry. How do I find the instructor's name for an undergraduate course? Okay, so in terms of undergraduate courses, so as a graduate student, you cannot take undergraduate courses for credit unless that undergraduate course has a graduate equivalent course. Okay, that is one thing to note. Second thing is, if you are interested in taking an undergraduate course because it benefits your research or helps you just get extra knowledge, it'll be useful, you can, but it's based on, it's called an audit. So you'll have to do an audit of that course. As a graduate student, you are allowed 2 audits, I believe, in the in your program without an extra cost. So you can do that. And again, in order to do that, just reach out to us individually with the course code and the name, and then we can look to see if it's offered. There is a way for you to look up, to search for classes in my.torontomu.ca portal. If I find out in a sec, I'll put it on the website, but basically you'll need to have your online account activated. You need to be enrolled, you need to be already enrolled as a student, and then you're able to search for classes. Just make sure you don't enroll yourself or something by mistake, or delete some of the courses you already have, but you should be able to search for classes, and we'll put a link on how to do that in the chat in a second.
Hey, Daniel, I just wanted to clarify that question. I had applied to an undergraduate course as a TA/GA, and I wanted to reach out to the instructor. Those are the name. I wasn't looking to apply to the course as a student.
Yeah. So for that, just send us an email. What program are you in?
I'm in the documentary media program, and I just want to apply to a sociology undergrad. I have already applied to a sociology undergrad.
Oh, so you just want to follow up with them? Yeah. So if you don't mind just send us the email with the course code and course title, and we can see if we can find it for you. You may still be able to, with the link I'm going to put on the chat, you may still be able to log in and find the actual name in there as well. Because basically what it does, it should show you a list of all the courses available by term. So based on the course code, right? So as long as the course is available, it should show you, and then it will show you sort of like the room number, the instructor, everything in there. But if not, just send us a quick email, and then we'll try to find it for you.
Thank you.
Of course. Tess says, would you recommend applying to more than one TAGA position just in case you're not selected for your first choice? Yes, of course. Apply as many as you want, and then you have a really good choice to decide, if you get 3 of them, which one you want to keep. If you don't apply to if you only apply to only one, then you only get the one and you may not get the other one. So feel free to apply as many as you want. That's not a problem. Can you take more than the required amount of electives required for your program? For example, your program requires 3, but someone is interested in 4 or 5. Yes, you can. I would just be mindful of your time and your workload. So everybody's a little bit different. Everybody's doing different things with at school and their personal life. But one thing to note is undergrad and grad are very different in terms of the workload and the amount of work you have to do independently. So just because we have only 3 courses or 4 courses or maybe 5 courses in some of the schedules, and maybe in undergrad we're taking 6 or 7 or something like that, it does take a little bit more work and time, more than anything, time to do a graduate course. So just be very mindful of that. So what I would suggest is, again, talk to your supervisor, advisor, or the program director. So on the program information session, a specific one, just bring that question up and they can sort of let you know more or less. Normally speaking, most of our programs won't go past 5 courses overall in a term, because that's a pretty heavy workload for a graduate program. That being said, I have seen 1 or 2 students do 6, but they basically fully focusing on school. They were not working outside of the school. It's just 100% focused on the school. And even there was a little bit of it's a heavy workload. So just be careful with that. HP's phone. There we go. What am I missing here? Nika has a question regarding the MA/MBA path. By when do I need to take the GMAT test in order to apply? So as a context for everybody, the media production program offers a media production MA, or there's an media production MA/MBA pathway, which is a 2-year program. And that's what the question is referring to. So the way it works is students apply to the first year MA media production. After the second semester, they'll decide to apply basically to the MBA portion of the pathway. And then at that point, usually are in the late fall, early winter term, you'll have to make that decision and apply. And so at that point, you'll have to have that information for GMAT and all the other requirements for admission. Although for the GMAT, I would recommend you contact the MBA program, because depending on your background, you may not need it. So double check with them first, but that will happen sometime late this fall or early winter for those of you who are want to take maybe the MA/MBA pathway. Thank you, Nika, for the question. Okay, I think, let me see. All right, it's a question about when will enrollment likely be confirmed to OSAP? Tricky question. So when OSAP says they're waiting for the university to confirm enrollment, they don't necessarily mean the courses. It's a little more complicated than that. There's several departments in the university that have to sort of confirm information with OSAP, and that's usually when OSAP tells you, "Oh, I'm just waiting for the university for enrollment confirmation." It's not necessarily just the courses. It is it's courses, it is any funding you're receiving, it is matriculation, and a couple other things, which are basically about 5 different departments in the university, including us, graduate studies, financial aid, and so on. So normally this happens within starting now all the way to the second, maybe third week of September. As things are sort of resolved by program, they're start basically creating a big list, and then they send those lists to OSAP, and then at that point OSAP then do their thing, and then they start working on releasing funds and releasing funding and all that kind of stuff. So it's starting now all the way to, let's say, second, third week of September normally. If you have specific questions about OSAP or specific issues with any of that kind of stuff, I would suggest reaching out to the Service Hub. Service Hub is sort of like the centralized location for funding or questions about tuition or those kinds of things. OSAP in this case, and they are located in 350 Victoria Street on the second floor. And then we'll put a link on the chat in a second, so you'll have it there as well. I think what else do I have here? Sorry, I'm looking. What else am I missing here? Okay, so tuition is related to that question about OSAP. So tuition, it has, well, as soon as you're enrolled, tuition is added to your account. So you should probably, well, if you're already enrolled, you should be able to already see the tuition in there. The general deadline is basically when classes begin. So I believe on the website it lists something like this 6 or 7 or something around there. And just basically to make sure that you pay your tuition on time. There won't be any late charges to your account as long as you pay before the end of the month, so before September 30th. Keep in mind, however, because it's online banking, depending on your financial institution, it might take between 3 and 5 business days for them to send the university the payment. So make sure you give yourself a week as a buffer if you're waiting for some funding, or if you're waiting for your OSAP or waiting for any of those things. Just make sure you try to pay before the third week of September, and that way you don't accumulate any late fees or anything like that. With that in mind, any funding that was offered to you in your offer of admission via the program, so this might be the Toronto Met Graduate Development Award, or the Toronto Met Graduate Fellowship, or any of those ones will be added to your account, to your TMU account by the third week of September. So hopefully before, but that's the deadline they've set. They do it in rounds. As soon as they can, they start putting it in the system. It just takes a little bit because they're doing as you can imagine, all 40,000 students of the university at the same time. So that's more or less in terms of timelines. Hopefully that answers your question, Isabel. Okay, I think, am I missing anybody here? I think I'm good with all the questions on the chat. If I missed you, please flag it to me or something else. Otherwise, say we're probably good with questions. Going once, going twice, going 3 times. All right. So on that note, thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much for staying with us until 5:15. We ran a little bit longer. Hope to see you at your program orientations, and enjoy the rest of the night. Have a great day, and thank you. And good luck in the fall term.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for hanging in there.